Hello everybody and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will, I'm a D&D sex icon and I'm back today with another episode, nay, the final episode of The Long March Season 2. And this is where the story of the Undying Heroes is set to end, my friends. So let's do this thing without any further ado. Let's go around the cast and crew, let's figure out who we are, who we're playing today. Let's start with our Dungeon Master, Encounter Josh. Josh, how you doing, my friend?
What comes next? It's going to be fun. We actually have some stuff laid over from last episode. There's just so much stuff going on. I'm super excited. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to wrapping up as much as we can. But it is not the end for the world. Simply the end for this group of Undying Heroes that are traveling together. We've got some stuff to get out of the way right at the beginning. But enough of that. Let's find out who's in the meat grinder.
Let's do it. We have Louise with us tonight. Louise, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm terrified because I'm, falling to my death currently. So very excited to see exactly how I'm going to die, and then I'll be gone. So that'll be me done for the session. I'm excited for it. I'm playing Kazna Bandry, who is a Eldritch Knight fighter. With a now fully grown adopted son, a teenage adopted son, a coming back to life sister, and there's just a lot going on. There's a lot happening. It's a season finale. There's so much going on.
It's a whole thing. Trust me.
It's a whole thing.
The whole season. And oh goodness, Charis, that Wild Magic Surge for Pain. Thank you. I already have 2 now ones donated towards me from Isriva, so thank you for that, my friend. Let's go around. We have Tall School with us. Tall School, how you doing?
So, Josh, I want to take a moment to tell you a little story. 20 months ago, there was this little one-shot called The Hanging Tree, where Gavin Fjordhammer was born.
I remember this.
Today is my 20-month anniversary as a subscriber to this lovely channel. And so it is Gavin's birthday, so to speak.
Oh my God.
And seeing as on my personal birthday, you destroyed Gavin last time this year, I just wanted to remind you that it's Gavin's birthday today. Wow. So, on that note, I'm playing Gavin, who is currently out to get revenge on one Hex, who has been driving his body since my birthday. And so we'll see how this all turns out.
There's a lot of terrible birthdays in this.
Yeah. I think that Isriva gives a Wild Magic Surge for Kazna. Happy finale. Thank you, my friend. We also, of course, have with us Laurelania. Hey, how you doing?
I am great. Fantastic. Definitely very awake, not hungover in the slightest. And I am playing Pain, the College of Whispers tiefling bard who had been searching for Hex her whole life and thought that he would have some sort of impact on how tieflings are created, and has found out that he is utterly useless to her and apparently the enemy of this entire party. So she's going to try and kill him, because what else are you going to do?
There you go. Well, it's going to go interestingly tonight for us. Oh, and myself, I'll be playing Gregor Tuscanu, the human, not a human, he's not a human at all, he's dwarf. He's a dwarf fighter and warlock. It's been a very long week and it's only Tuesday. And he is here to explode towers with coins, to vomit on people that he doesn't like, and to see if his son and Kazna will survive tonight's encounter. So that's me. Of course, tonight we are sponsored by D&Dice.co.uk. Go over to their website. Save yourself. It's actually 10% at the moment by using the coupon code Encounter Roleplay. You can go buy yourself some beautiful plastic dice and some beautifully crafted, like platinum, gold. Got all sorts over on that site.
Beautiful.
So.
And they have like a great weight to them. I love them.
Excellent heft to their jib.
Yes.
Indeed. Go over there, save yourself no money, and of course you guys can interact with tonight's show. If you haven't followed the show yet, hit the follow button, join us. When we hit 20 followers tonight, you guys get to decide what happens next in our campaign. It is the finale, so it all counts, probably doubly tonight. And of course, if you haven't retweeted this tweet, go there. 20 retweets, get another viewer decision, and of course you guys can donate to affect the game as well by giving players nat 1s, nat 20s, wild magic surges, and this month's table is the cursed magic items. So go over there and enjoy. In fact, the Crimson Phoenix full of 21 months. Holy mackerel. And I'll say we roll a d4 to see which player gets his Wild Magic Surge of the month. So I'll do that, and I'll look at the Wild Magic Surges. Whilst Josh, I hand over to you to talk us through what happened last week on the show.
So last week on the show, we had the reunion of the family in more ways than one. We had 2 reunions for the price of one, because I'm just that generous. We first of all had Pain, Scab. Scab came back, and Scab decided that he wanted to air some things. He had some chats with some people, discussed that we didn't really tell you how he broke out of jail. He just told you he broke out of jail. No one seemed to be interested because Scab has gone through a lot. Scab has gone through puberty at an accelerated rate. He's had somewhere in the region of like 30 wild magic surges while he's been in jail, because you guys have been like, yeah, I'm gonna make Scab. So he now smells the sulfur. When he fires like any kind of energy, it makes a sonic boom. There is any projectiles around him stream like rainbow colors. He got given like a lockpick. He started a cult. He got tattoos. A lot of stuff happened to Scab, so he's a real different kid. But he doesn't really know how to process all of this, so there were some moments between that. And then Gregor Tuscan decided to out his good old buddy, Gavin. Gavin was outed to have been under the influence of Hex for pretty much the entire season, and that everything that Gavin has done has actually been Hex at the wheel. This was done to let the party know what they were walking into and who they were walking into with it. It caused a lot of tension between the party members. All was well as the party made their way up through the tower to face what is essentially a giant kind of plant-like bulb, which is creating a toxin, which is poisoning this part of the Underdark and creating mutilated, horrible creatures made of fungus that seem to infect living tissue. Going up there to face that, halfway up they found a couple of bits and pieces. Crimson Phoenix himself actually donated to give the party some cool gear. One of the things that I threw in was there is a set of Paladin's armor that Gavin donned, but seeing his way out, the man is prepared today. Seeing that this power had the property to essentially prolong a user's life for an extraordinary amount of time, it was Hex's opportunity to pull himself out of Gavin's form and try and escape. It used the power of the armor, drained it of its power, and what followed was Gavin retaking his own body and battering Hex pretty hard. And the entire party, once more, finally, after a long, long march, all fighting the same foe, all on the same page, all with one burning hatred for the same individual, rallied and broke the bridge. And it is a long way down. Hex was basically pushed down, fought out onto a bridge. The bridge was smashed. Pain grabbed Hex and just, in a true Superman style, was trying to pile driver him into the floor, and everyone jumped after her. Hex has actually cast flight on himself. Pain has also got wings. None of the rest of the party can fly, but they were all plummeting after them. And when asked in the final moments of the episode, as Hex and Pain were unable to separate from each other's grip, their grapple, as Pain was trying to slam him down into the ground, and would she pull up and potentially sacrifice herself to drive Hex into the ground? And it was revealed that the Pain was not going to pull up. And the last thing we saw was a tremendous impact which shattered the floor and kicked up a lot of smoke as the rest of the party plummets down towards them. So that is where we are. A lot of stuff going on. They are currently at the base of a tower. At the top of this tower, there is a seed-like, bulb-like, golden plant creature which seems to be manufacturing this toxin, which they have to deal with, but they have decided to settle an old score first. And we are going to start now, just in a moment, with the chaos that we see before us. But first, any hooks and plugs you want to put in?
Yeah,
people?
we've got those wild magic surges. Well, always. We do have a wild magic surges to read out here. Kazna thinks that she'll excrete diamonds if she ingests coal.
I mean, it's
Spent
feasible.
too much time with Gregor. Like that's a real Gregor.
It's been a long time
It's a real Gregor problem.
Yeah, he's probably achieved such a thing in the past.
She's under so much pressure that she actually forms diamonds internally.
That's how it works. Also, Payne's hair and clothes become horribly entangled.
Almost as if she's just pile drivered 200 feet straight down whilst accelerating.
Yep, you're not going to be able to do anything with that hair. It's going to be
it's going to be glorious.
And then
All my characters lose their hair in their hands.
that's it. And then Kazna asserts that her body and head are two separate organisms, but they're symbiotic.
I mean, I've been through a lot. That's not the strangest thing about me. So
Kazna is
Actually, pretty reasonable. It's not really that far of a
Kazna is
stretch.
losing her head at this point. It's finally happened. As well, you guys all see ahead of you, everyone but Payne, a huge impact, and a dust cloud comes up to hit you in the face, full force, as you are falling. Is anyone doing anything to slow down? You have no target. You are falling. Gavin is basically on fire with a great sword, plummeting like
Torpedo.
true Thor style, streamlining himself downwards.
So we cut away. I said I was going to spin a nat 20 to hit Hex. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Just a reminder that we haven't seen if that nat 20 guide my sword.
It's good. So you see ahead of you, Gavin vanishes into the smoke cloud. Kazna, you are also plummeting.
Quick question. I received a fancy sword last time.
You did indeed. Would you do me a
Can it
favor?
fly?
Can
Can
it
it
fly?
either fly or does it have
First question.
immediate no fall damage?
Immediate no fall damage. I don't know, because you need to roll me a 1d6.
You're rolling to find out what it does right now.
Come on, fly. 2.
Can you
Two
roll
to
me
fly.
two
Two and fly.
D100s, please?
Oh man, it's the big chart.
Oh, my music is so ominous right now. Like,
Okay, that's a 146, which, as we know in binary, means fly.
Yep.
This is. I love
Binary
how you
solo.
think 4 and 6 are common in binary.
Oh, they are. In the binary that I know, which is the new kind.
That newfangled binary.
Yeah.
It's a new wave binary, which is
All the kids are doing
really
it.
popular these days, yeah.
Okay.
don't tell
That
them
new
to
math.
actually buy it, please.
Interesting. Okay, so I need you to I need you to have this weapon. Have you got a plain short sword in your inventory?
I can get one.
Drop a plain short sword into your
yeah.
inventory. Yep.
It's there.
It is now a +2 magical short sword.
Oh, wow. I think that's not as good as my weapon, but cool.
Wait for it.
Actually, no, that is not better. Okay.
It crits on a 19.
Oh.
A kind gesture.
Oh, and 3 nat 20s for Payne from Konigstein. Thank you, my friend.
Oh damn! Okay.
She might need those.
Blam blam. Thank you, ma'am. And then I've got one other thing for you, but first I do need. Is this where it is? Yes. Okay, here we go. So I need one last thing for you. I need a D100 again. I believe it's D100.
Just one, yeah?
Yeah, one D100.
That is 71.
70.
Binary for fly.
Yeah, also binary for fly. Strange how many, flies you can get out of these binary codes.
Binary for feather fall, actually, which
Yeah.
we would do in a pinch.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh,
All right.
nice Avengers mug. Hey.
Dude, I am loaded for bear. I've got my Avengers mug because I'm throwing it down the thing. I've got my.
Oh, yeah, you're like representing. Yeah.
I'm like, I need every little thing. It's my 20th anniversary. It's like I'm cashing in every card I have. I would put on my Thor wig
All
if
of
we
your
haven't survived this first scene. I'm not even kidding.
Your loyalty
Get
card
those
is
nat
being
20s.
You get one free
Oh,
Gavin
yeah.
survives after 20 months.
Okay, so we have you, Kazna.
Me.
Yeah, your sword.
Yeah.
Interestingly,
Yeah.
has a spell.
Oh,
It knows one spell.
Oh God.
which is.
It's a 6th level spell.
Oh. Oh.
That's
Tell
quite
me
I'm
more,
useful.
tell me more.
I'm
That's
gonna
for an Eldritch Knight. That's amazing.
right. Without looking at anything, I need you to pick what class you want the spell from. Give me a spellcaster.
The wizard. They usually have a lot
Wizards
of, lot
have
of
fly in Featherfall.
Zune was able to cast fly. Good job.
Okay. And I'm gonna need a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I greatly dislike leaving this up to chance. I'm so scared of everything.
It's the chaos of D&D. Embrace it.
That's a 7.
A 7. Interesting. Okay. Oh my god. This, given everything,
Yeah.
given everything, this is
Everything ever? Given everything ever?
okay, right. It's not going to help you with the fall. However, considering this is random and considering who you are fighting right at this moment, would you like to know what spell you have?
Don't tell me she got it. Don't
Tell
tell
me.
me she
Tell me.
got it.
Tell me. Tell me right now.
Let me tell you what I think it is.
Go on, tell me.
Go on.
Magic
is it?
jar.
That was yes. Please, please.
Magic jar? Is that the name of the spell? Magic jar?
It's
Yeah.
magic jars. Yes. Yeah.
That one
So
I
it's
want.
not that.
It's not a magic jar, it is a cage.
Force cage? That works too.
No, it is Soul Cage.
Soul Cage.
Wait, I can't remember that one.
Soul cage
remember
will
that
work
one.
too.
This spell snatches the soul of a humanoid as it dies and traps it inside the tiny cage you use for the material component. A stolen soul remains inside this cage until the spell ends or you destroy the cage, which ends the spell. While you have the soul in the cage, you can exploit it in any of the ways described below. You can trap up to 6 you can use a trapped soul up to 6 times. Once you exploit a soul the 6th time, it is killed and the spell ends. While a soul is trapped, the dead humanoid it came from cannot be revived by any means.
Ooh.
That is the fucking most metal weapon I have ever heard of in my entire goddamn life playing D&D. Like, holy shit, dude.
Would you like to know the ways you can exploit a soul?
Oh, the,
No.
the exploitation things are even more
exploit,
powerful.
You can steal life with it. You can
Love
use a
to.
bonus action to drain the 2d8 healing from it and give it out to someone within 30 feet.
That's kind of helpful. Yeah, I'll take it.
You can ask it a brief question. It must answer truthfully to the best of its ability, but it can be
I like
cryptic.
I like it.
You can borrow experience. You can use a bonus action to bolster yourself with the soul's life experience, making your next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw with advantage. And you can name a place in life the humanoid saw, and you can scry there.
Oh shit.
Damn.
Oh damn. That's going to answer kind of every question that we've ever had about Hex,
Yeah.
really. So
You've only got 6 uses, and like it's not of each one. It's you have 6. You can
Total.
pick from those.
all right, that's all right. We can ask him a couple of questions, see the dead, and then murder the soul. I'm happy about that.
Well, you got to kill him first. So
Well, I'm hoping that
As
he
you're
dies on
falling-
impact, and soul.
As you're falling-
I don't die.
you have you don't have a deceleration tactic, do you?
I don't think I have anything that I can use for anything. I have things that could help but would just hurt me more. So
Try bending your knees at the last moment. That's all. There you go. There you
Yes,
go.
always. That's always a good.
Yeah. Just curl yourself into a ball and you'll be fine. Finally, Gregor Tuscan, you have jumped hand in hand with Scout. This is where you all die. It's not the initial impact. It's Gregor landing in the proximity near you that ends everyone. So, do you use anything? Do you have anything to try and slow your fall, or are you just full on flying down there?
I don't think I have anything on me. I mean, Gregor's not particularly worried about it.
Okay.
So I've got a little something that I don't know if it's going to help or not, but it just got a little something, and it depends on how you're dealing with this. Throw myself off the ledge, plummet and plunge attack. If that's like my attack, and I actually have a bonus action available to me,
I'll allow you to use a bonus action depending on what it is.
well, I want to use Thunderous Smite. For the idea is when Thunderous Smite hits, it makes a pressure wave that pushes everything within that wave back 10 feet.
You're going to save us
so
by hitting the ground
hopefully-
first.
Yes, well, theoretically, I'm in the front. Is that basically that when I hit, that thunder wave will help slow at least some of the fall from my companions.
I could help with that because I have Thunderwave and we could make it a bigger one.
That'll work for everybody except for Pain because she went down first. And
Yeah, unfortunately, Pain's going to get
objects
hit
at, like,
by the
heavy,
thunder wave.
yeah,
Okay.
effect velocity, right? So
Here we go.
But I can bring her back now because I can heal. That's the thing is,
I
if
can
we
trap
kill
your
her,
soul
I
in a
can heal.
cage.
as long as I don't take more than 56 hit points damage, we're good.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll the full damage here.
You have 56 hit points.
I have 66, but I lost 10 to something. I can't remember what. At least that's what it
Well,
is.
but you've got to go all the way to go
Yeah, you
be
have to-
instant
it's
dead.
your
You've got to go
max.
at full 120.
There we go.
It was 60 feet dropping? It's 1d10 or 1d6 every
No.
10 feet?
So it is no.
Him rolling in that one's got to be good news.
No. It's because I put it in wrong. So here we go. So it is 77 bludgeoning damage
To everyone? Or to...
to Hex and Pain.
Okay, that's good because that sounds like that's more painful than our situation.
She can take it.
Damn it.
She'll come back.
Me
A lot of sixes you rolled in there.
Me and
That is-
Scab line ourselves up
Yeah,
to like
20d6 is
Pain.
maximum is the maximum fall damage you can take in the game.
I'm at negative 21 right now, so let's...
Yeah, but that's not insta death.
It's not insta-death. I am still
No.
alive.
Roll me your not thunder step. Is it thunder step or thunderous smite?
Oh, Pain
Thunderous Smite.
Pain gets 2 healings from Blazing Dog.
There we
Thank you,
go.
my friend. It's 2d10s.
So do I roll just the Thunderous Smite attack?
Yep.
7.
7. Okay.
Do you want me to help with a thunder wave?
But that's the whole thing. It's normally a strength save to be pushed by it. But I figure since we're falling, we can't really. It's not us digging our feet in. We're falling, so kind of like zero gravity. You're hit by it and affected. Physics works.
Okay. I'm gonna give
When
you
you negotiate with your DM, I wear my shirt.
Dex saves for everyone other than Pain. This is going to determine how you are, what sort of landing you can go for.
Can I use another nat 20 on the same turn?
I will allow you to spend another nat 20.
I got a 20, not a nat
I would like to use a nat 20 for my dex save.
I'll drop
Okay.
a 20 on this.
Okay, so Kazna, you land uncomfortably. You can take let's see.
100 d6.
you take you take half damage from fall,
Cool.
and I'm gonna say on nat 20s.
So is that half of 77, sorry? Or are you rolling again damage?
Half of 77 and D6.
That's fine. This is
Gregor and Gavin, you can take half damage of the 27.
Nice. Also, that's
Okay.
another 2 heals for Pain from Blazing Dog.
Damn. Okay. That's 4d10 heals?
Yeah.
So yeah, damn. So you just need to roll better now. You're on 11 hit points out of a potential 40.
I'm at -10 currently.
Yeah, you are.
2 heals, so we're getting closer.
So you guys all come flying down. Gavin, you hit the floor hard.
Oh, do I miss him?
You hit the floor very hard,
okay.
and you bounce. The floor is, you're expecting it to be softer than it actually is, but you land near the impact zone where Pain and Hex landed. There is no flesh here, there is nothing. There is stone, the original masonry, cracked tiles. You hit it and you are thrown into the air and just go flying, skittering to the side and end up sort of prone with like sludge just covering like one whole arm, where you slide through what is sort of almost like a mucus layer on top of the stone. You basically like scrape back all sort of the plant life, and it just bulges up like a huge congealed sort of wave on your side, and you come to a blissful stop. Kazna, you are falling, and the dust cloud in front of you suddenly ripples out twice as fast to you, and you see what looks like static, potentially like almost like crackles of lightning rushing up towards you. And as you sort of tuck your legs in, the impact throws you off to the side, and you go skittering across the floor, hitting something very solid, and just kills your momentum. You feel pretty crappy right now, but you are not dead. Whatever you hit is very broken and looks like it was probably a pillar, one of the pillars in this hall. Gregor Tuscan, you come down, and as you do, I'm gonna make a roll.
By the way, everybody gets 2 heals for each party member from Crimson Phoenix.
Yes.
The Phoenix.
The Phoenix gives life.
An extra heal for Pain, and like 4 heals for Pain, and a disadvantage to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
How much is a heal roll?
1d10.
Oh, dang. And it was 2 that we had, yeah?
It was indeed.
Just to clarify, guys, the heals and the advantages, disadvantages are 1, 2, 5. I don't give a shit, but just so you know for the future. I'm gonna roll mine out.
As you come flying in, Gregor, the wave hits you. It does very little to sort of change your trajectory, but it does take some of your momentum out, and you come down pretty square. You feel that on your arm, essentially, Scab just suddenly like whips, like he's caught in a huge amount of turbulence, like a kite that snaps in the wind. You manage to hold onto his arm, and he falls with you, and you both land. But as you land, you are knocked from each other, and just both land sort of a few feet away from each other, prone.
Okay.
All of you are in a cloud of dust, and raining what would be attributed to quite heavy, thick rain, but it's probably pulverized plant matter that is sort of raining down from this huge impact, and the sound shudders the entire tower. It's a huge amount of a multitude of impacts, and as all of this happens, Gavin, you realize that you are without your sword.
Okay. The one that just materialized. Okay.
You are laying on your back. Your arm, your new arm looks sort of like it's lost a few layers and sort of looks thinner, as if it's had quite a bit of the ash knocked off it. But it does seem to, it still works. It doesn't feel any less strong. It just doesn't move. It moves a little sluggishly.
Okay.
You are dazed, winded, and not entirely sure where you've ended up, but you look up and you can see up above you, barely make it out, that there does appear to be a bridge that is half broken and listing at a terrible angle.
Up above me.
Yeah, you are.
But it's not where we jumped from. It's something.
No, that is the bridge that
we were on. Okay.
That Pain broke.
Okay. So I use the arm. I assume since the ash is off of it, just like in a campfire, and as Gavin's used to back in his forge, he sort of waves it around a little bit, almost seeing, using it like a torch. So there's sparks coming off this new sort of coal and ember arm that he's been gifted by this armor. And he sort of waves it around to try to see if he can get a little bit more light to see what is here around him as sort of the sparks are dripping, coming off of this new hand. He sort of flexes it once or twice, sort of getting the feel of it.
As you flex it, you see the embers sort of like that was dull, sort of intensify slightly, and it makes it a little easier to see. And as you look around, you can see that there is a light. It looks like a pillar of light, and it's hard to make out, but you can just see sort of it almost looks like a crucifix. And as it clears ever so slightly, you can make out what appears to be a sword buried in the floor.
Gavin goes over to it. I mean, I'm going to walk carefully, but while it's not his holy symbol, he sort of he takes this almost as sort of a religious sign, and knowing that he had his sword and he was trying to aim for Hex, he sort of takes a moment to gather his wits, and with his arm out in front of him, sort of flexing and making almost sort of this sort of pulsing light as he walks forward. Some sparks, like when you knock a piece of wood in the campfire, sort of going off of this, and he walks forward. Does he still have his hammer with him, or is the hammer still attached to the hilt?
Your hammer is not there.
It's not with me. Okay. Yeah. Just so, I mean, I think that he's just his other gauntleted fist in this new armor. He is ready. He watched Hex operate for this last season. He's going to be on his guard, but he also wants to get over there. And did he actually see you? I think you said that she flew by us in just a blur. So I'm not sure if Gavin actually knows that Pain's what hit Hex, or did we make that out?
You kind of saw her come swooping down, but I mean, it's
Yeah, we saw her like
we were right
wrestle
next
at the top, and she grabbed him and pulled him up.
Yeah,
that's Trevor during the fall. So Gavin goes forward. Pain, are you all right?
Well, she has 3 extra wild magic surges to roll before we know that.
I will hold that thought.
Yeah, before we know whether you're all right or not.
Yeah, at this stage, I'm dragging myself over as well.
Oh god, that's a high one. That's
like
a really high one.
Using my new
and it's
sword.
It's one of the thousands. All the ones with all zeros are interesting.
Oh, really? That's what I want to hear.
4963.
Okay, so for the last one here,
I'll help look them up.
1d4 days, target can't speak to anyone who knows his name.
Anyone slain nearby is revealed to be a doppelganger.
And you appear to be far more menacing than you really are.
Oh, look at little Pain. She's so threatening.
Shut up. Scary, Mum. Because, once Pain and Scab get married, you're going to be my mother-in-law.
Oh,
God. Gavin, you are on your feet. It is quiet all around. And as you make your way towards this sword, you can see that it is somewhat... It looks like the dust sort of like is hanging low across the ground still. So the bottom half of the blade is... most of the blade is sort of buried in the ground, but the light from the actual flame of the sword, where the blade is, it seems to almost be choked, as if it's struggling. And as you come forward, you realize suddenly that the sword is buried in something that almost looks like a rock that oil is pouring off of. There is smoke all around it that is moving out, and it's sort of like you manage to clear your vision, sort of like take a few moments to get the ringing in your head to stop. The smoke is sort of trying to lash out in every different direction, but in the center, it is completely solid. Around the blade, it is like a black stone. You seem to be able to make out that it is vaguely humanoid, but it doesn't appear to be able to keep a cohesive shape anywhere other than where the blade has penetrated.
Is on closer, is it Hex's skull?
Give me a perception check or an investigation. I'm going to make it an investigation.
I made
Okay.
a mistake on the name thing. It wasn't that. It was if struck by spell magic.
Nat 20 on
Oh,
the
sweet.
investigation.
Yes.
Okay. You can make out that the skull is absent and that he appears to have been run through, and the sword seems to have almost held him in place. He doesn't appear to be able to move away. His central mass, everything around where he's been penetrated, which looks like it was sort of through the midsection, has taken on a solid as opposed to sort of like this semi-liquid state that he seemed to have. He doesn't appear to be able to move away, and he is writhing at the edges. You see every now and again sharp edges form in his in sort of like tendrils of darkness that seem to be slashing at the ground all around him, almost like a Catherine wheel of darkness that is tearing at the ground all around, but it doesn't seem to be able to pull free. And you notice that in the center, a dull grey glowing is slowly starting to appear.
Could I have made it
really-
over by this point? Like
Yep.
dragging myself with my sword to kind of like get myself over there?
Oh, Gregor's probably over
Or am
this
I
way.
like KO'd on the...
Gregor and Kazna and Scab start moving, making their way over. You guys don't spot Pain.
What?
I'm not looking for her, to be fair.
Thanks, dude.
I mean, it's honest. What you got there, Gavin?
Gavin looks down at this writhing form of Hex that had been his jailer for so long and had driven him to do things that he would never have done. And he just starts, you know, I honestly wanted to save you. I honestly thought you were worth saving. That your story of betrayal and the Pentacle 5 was something done to you in something instead of something that you did to yourself. But you showed your true colors. You are deception. You are deceit. You are, even for me, a soul completely lost. You think betrayal is what makes you grow. Betrayal's not what makes you grow. It's sacrifice and self-sacrifice. But you could never see past your own selfishness to understand that. And as I'm saying that, my gauntleted fist begins to start to glow with divine light as I start sort of charging up a divine smite on my gauntleted fist.
You watch as these tendrils begin to form cohesively, almost into one tendril, like an arm. And without warning, it lashes out towards you, but it just falls short about a foot from your throat, doesn't make the distance. Mm-hmm. And as it pulls away, it sort of disperses and then coils backwards, twisting round again, just out of reach. And you hear a keening sound, this horrible, tortured sound of something being torn apart. But finally, it stops. There's no more tearing, no more slicing, no more writhing. And from the center, it begins to solidify. And finally reaches sort of like the extremities, the fingertips, and there is a headless form lying there. It still moves slowly, still seems to actually draw breath, but it is impaled right through the solar plexus to the floor, and you can see that it is starting to glow around the wound, almost as if it is heating and burning. As this happens, you hear footfalls, slow, uneven, on the floor behind you, as a rather battered Kasna, Gregor, and Scab make their way up behind you to stand alongside you.
Good riddance.
Is that him?
It is, and
The fucker that killed Zune and did what he did to you.
it is.
Well,
You deserve. I believe he is still somewhat alive there. Justice belongs to you, Kasna. I will do what I can to give your strike the radiance it may need to banish this fiend. But perhaps that sword, I apparently was given this armor by the whims of fate to let me expel him from me. Perhaps that sword you were given is a way for you to met the justice that your sister deserves.
she kind of looks at the sword in her hands and kind of tests the weight of it. And as she's doing so, like this slow grin just creeps onto her face. And it's very unnatural. She hasn't smiled since she was, magically made to in that weird underground cave. And you're sure? You want me to finish him off?
Or perhaps, maybe, together.
Together. And I'm going to hold the new sword just over. So it's like a shimmering mass. Is there any kind of like central point, like a chest area?
It is resolving into a torso, arms, and legs, but the head is absent.
Okay, just kind of dangling over where the heart would be. I want to just look directly down at this pitiful motherfucker. Just think, this one's for Zune, and I'm going to stab him right in the heart.
And I'm going to send the divine smite down the great sword that's pinning him to the ground at the same time. So it's both the strike of Kasna's sword and the divine smite down. I'm going to call it the Phoenix sword because I don't know what to call it. The Phoenix sword.
As this happens, the light from its chest begins to expand outwards rapidly, a dull grey glow building, giving him almost like a ghostly pale
A
grey
magnanimous
sort of
dispensation.
colouring to his what would be skin.
Fuck.
And for a split second, he shudders, and then the grey begins to fade slightly, and beneath it is red. And as the final shudders pass, the glowing comes to an end, and nailed to the floor underneath this greatsword with a vicious blow is the body of a tiefling. It is headless. It looks to be probably early 20s, no older than that, heavily scarred and covered with what you will recognize from Scab as being very prison-like tattoos. The hands are heavily scarred and wrapped. The clothing that seems to almost hang in tatters from his legs is badly sodden and soiled. And finally, the final spasms subside, and you feel something rush through both of your swords. Kazna, there is a sigil set into the hilt that now you have plunged the blade down, you can see there is what looks to be a tiny, almost like a pearl that looks up at you. And slowly, as you feel him die beneath this blade, the pearl begins to darken and blacken, and you feel a glow and an energy sort of ripple up through your sword, and a slight hum as something happens. You draw power forth from this body. Gavin, the grey light pulls into the blade and begins working its way up the hilt, extinguishing the flames, running into the arm, into your gauntlet, through your armor, and you see your armor begin to blacken and darken slightly, taking on almost like a well-oiled sheen that seems to move carefully across the surface, but you don't feel his return in any way. You feel your magical armor begin to hum, and suddenly the chest piece where the sigil of the phoenix is begins to glow, and you hear a voice in your head. It is not a voice that you have heard on many occasions, but it is a voice that is old and welcome, and it says, "Welcome back, old friend." And you feel old, badly, almost like when you first sit down to do a task you used to do on a regular basis. It's almost like riding a bike. The shaky first few pedals, but suddenly it begins to come back to you as you feel your veins that almost feel rusted become flooded with energy. And you feel a reawakening in you as Cuthbert says to you, "You have many trials ahead of you, but today you have fulfilled one of many contracts." And thank you so much for this donation here, which gives the party
Phoenix. Thank you, my friend.
some cool stuff.
Oh,
As Your chest piece that has the phoenix emblazoned across it seems to flex, and the sigil seems to move and ripple. And as Gavin almost feels sort of like a shuddering running through him, he has to drop to one knee for a split second as light begins to pour out of him, and he throws his arms wide, and behind him huge blazing wings appear, and energy lances forward, and everyone in the party is going to get heals to full HP, and everyone gets a +4 damage for the rest of the session with all weapons.
That's awesome. And a nat 20 to
There you go.
nat 20 to toll school as well.
Yeah, let's get shit done.
Let's
Do
get
it.
this shit on the road.
Time for a finale.
So, given what we spoke about the other day, Gavin,
Yep.
I'm going to say that's now active and will remain active as Gavin becomes a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. For those of you now within 30 feet of Gavin, empowered by so much stuff going on, and given the fact that it is indeed not Gavin's birthday, but Gavin's rebirth day.
I'm good.
Gavin's rebirth day. I like that.
At
yeah.
this,
Wearing Phoenix armor.
Very good.
It is your rebirth day.
Kazna turns to look at rebirth Gavin. And then back to this the disgusting thing on the floor. And she's just gonna, with no actual like anger or power behind it, just gonna punch him in the chest plate, and then just go in for a hug.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. He pulls Kazna close, and these golden wings wrap all the way around her, and he just whispers in his ear. He goes, "I am so sorry. There was nothing I could do."
She's like grabbing like tight into like the folds of his armor. She's like shaking, and it's like it's okay. It wasn't you. This is you.
If it is the last thing I do, we will find her. We will find her.
I'll kind of let go and look back. First, perhaps we should find Pain.
Yes.
Is Scab here, by the way?
Scab is here. Scab is standing next to you, sort of looking forlornly at the ground where there was this huge impact, and he's sort of shaking ever so slightly and doesn't really know where to look.
Yeah, in fact, a clockwork for the host and the raid, my friends. Get your raid swords out. The raid is in it. We're at the finale of the long march, coming in a pretty emotional moment, but it's... They stop by and enjoy yourself. It's going to be a fun time here. I see Scab down there. I'm going to help him up. Gregor's probably taken a few falls like this in this time. So just kind of pulls him up with the man shake, rather than the handshake, I suppose. And just gonna grab him up. You okay, lad?
He nods and sort of like stretches. You hear like him creak ever so slightly, and his first step is a little awkward, a little uncomfortable. He winces slightly, shakes it off, and he looks to the floor next to him, stoops down and picks up his abyssal blade, where blood is pooled on the floor, and sheaths it slowly, and as he manages to sort of like, through sort of like a methodical, checking his weapon over and putting it away, he has that moment to compose himself, and when he looks back up again, he is managing a small smile, and he says, It's just nice to have the family back together.
I think we've got one more yet to bring back.
Yes. She made this possible. Where is Pain?
Oh, I was talking about Zune. Don't know.
And Zune.
Oh yeah, Pain.
As you
You're right.
guys-
Shit.
As you guys cast your eyes around, you see a figure that is managing to almost limp out of the darkness. But you see that the last of Gavin's radiant energy is pooling across her chest. And you see one of her wings has been sheared off entirely in the impact. And the other one looks badly broken. But as this energy ripples through her, you watch as the bone from the almost sort of the demonic kind of wing begins to creak and realign, and skin begins to mesh itself back together again. But the other wing, being completely gone, is being reconstructed entirely, and it remains glowing faintly golden.
Give me
Can I kind of like
X-Men 1
try and give her a hand up out of this pit?
You can indeed. Pain,
Actually, before you do that, I'm going to send Scab to do it. I like push him forwards. I'm like, Gah!
Oh yeah.
Scab reaches down and goes to help this like heavily dust-covered, caked in blood individual out of this crater. Pain, you look as you used to look. No longer affected by the wild magic, having been reduced to 0 hit points and basically being clinically killed. The magic has dispelled from you, and Scab gets his first eyeful of how Pain should actually look, as one of her wings is now almost a mirror match, but has a more radiant look to it and glows with a faint golden energy. And he reaches his hand down and awkwardly sort of rubs his other hand on his sort of thigh, sort of like trying to clean it up. And hi.
Hello. I kind of look at myself. She just kind of stammers there like an awkward teenager, kind of like they're both having their like.
With Gavin and
It's
Cassidy,
like they're at the first junior high dance.
Gregor's like, say nothing.
I'd reach out to like take his hand.
He takes it as gently as he can and helps her sort of like step over the debris of what looked like shattered obsidian flagstone and dirt and plant matter, and brings her up to sort of his level, and without really thinking about it, like reaches his hand out to sort of like pick bits of like sort of torn strands of what was her wing before it was torn apart. So there's like blood and viscera, but also chunks of sort of like this plant goo, and he just begins to sort of like you've got to
Well, I don't know how I managed to survive that fall, but
Good wings.
I just kind of look over at Scab like, yeah, I'm tough. I'm tough. Yeah.
Welcome to the family, Pain.
You sure know how to put the
people
fun
would
into
have,
functional.
Not many people would have done what you did for some group they just met.
Well, I had seen inside your heart, mistress. I don't think that there was any way I could leave.
It's Kasna.
Kazna.
Mum, why is she calling you mistress?
Oh, you can still call me Mora then if you want.
I thought you had said that you weren't one of the gods.
I'm not, but it's still a good name. I didn't choose Gregor, you know.
You can change it if you like.
Actually,
There's already... Scab punches Gregor in the arm and says, there's already a story of a legendary hero called Moradin. There is going to be a story of the legendary hero Gregor.
That once I'm dead, maybe.
Well,
Plus, you're pronouncing it wrong, Scab. It's Gregor Tuscan.
Very important. Yeah.
Pain just kind of looks around confused.
laughs out loud, like,
If you
Anyway.
ever come back to the Black Mountain, we'll teach you that. I think we have a demon to be fucked by.
We've still got one more motherfucker to kill.
We do indeed.
as you guys look up and pause for a moment, realizing the task is far from complete, give me perception checks.
Perception.
Perception.
Look at me.
Nailing it.
9.
That is a
And
unnatural one, a dirty one.
A dirty one.
Yep, dirty one.
Okay.
A halfling, that one.
A halfling, that one. You look up, and everyone is struggling to make out. Ironically, the person who sees it coming is the one who doesn't have dark vision anymore. It is.
Yes, that's right.
It is the human. Gavin, you look up. Give me a dex save.
Oh, okay. Can I at least yell, look out?
Yep. Give me a dex save.
Look out! Ooh, didn't do as good on that.
On a 9, you just have a chance to sort of like push the two who were standing closest to you back, and something hits the floor where you were just standing and pretty much detonates outwards. On a 19, you have just long enough to spot that it looks like a body falling. And as that happens, can everyone roll me, possibly for the last time,
Oh no, here it is. This is it.
This is it. What?
some initiative,
Live.
ladies and gentlemen.
The big battle.
16, here we go. Oh my god. This is my last
19.
big battle of
Yeah.
Encounter Roleplay for like 16 weeks. Ah.
We've got some good solid rolls to start with.
Yeah, let's do it. I always roll well on initiative. There we go. 9. That's good for me.
16. I was contemplating using one of my nat 20s. I'm
Me
like,
too.
no.
Me too. I need it for the damage then.
1d20. There we go. Scab, that is 14. Your boy. And for
I'm gonna be so
This-
worried about Scabless fight.
going on a 19.
So does the guy do like a superhero landing, like a badass boss entrance?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Face plants the ground.
Or is someone,
here,
is someone
guys.
else, like throwing bodies at us?
It hits the floor and seemingly comes apart in gore. There is a huge smear of what looks like blood, but also green paste. Gavin just manages to backpedal in the last second as something whips past you. This thing hits the ground, and you watch as what little plant matter there is left in the area moves underneath your feet like a living carpet and dives hungrily on this thing as it begins to get back up. It is roughly humanoid in shape and size, but deformed. And just as it begins to move, you hear a flurry of impacts throughout the entire chamber as more bodies fall and begin to join them. It is raining corpses in this room, and none of them are staying down. They are going to spend their actions piecing themselves back together, and you watch as in horror as they get up frighteningly quickly, and their body shifts. They have no need for many things that humans need, or drow need, or humanoid creatures need, such as 2 arms. So you watch as some of them sacrifice one of their own arms, pulling it free and molding it into one huge bone whip on the other arm. The flesh-like substance that seems to make up these creatures, infused with bone, making vicious, edged weaponries of a very primal and cruel fashion. And up first is our good friend, Gavin Fjordhammer. Gavin, you have currently got a flight speed equal to Payne's. You have a 30 feet of flight. Yes.
Gavin, seeing these corpses in the undead, reconstructed nature of them, he looks around to the rest of his companions and just say, be on the lookout. There's certainly more and worse to come. And I am going to, let me see how long that lasts. I'm not going to do that yet. So I'm going to do something else. I would like to rage first. Gavin just having killed off Hex and seeing this come down, and just this is just an anathema to him. Just that same blaze that Gregor saw way back when he first went into a rage under Hex's control. Now it seems as though Gavin, under his own control, is able to do that. And it's not this craze-filled rage, it is this focus of divine fury. And you sort of see just where before it was just radiant golden wings, and this armor begins to take on a little bit of flame, radiant flame that is licking off the ends of it as rage ignites him. And I'm going to go for the closest one. Is there one close by?
There is one close by. There is one that is pulling itself up, almost doubling in bulk in front of you as it draws in the carpet of sort of vines that lay everywhere, building itself a stronger form.
I'm going to do a attack. Is an 18 hit?
An 18 hits.
So it's going to be 23 slashing damage plus another 5 because it's my first attack underneath of my zealous rage, and so that's 28 slashing damage.
28 slashing damage. This thing splits into pieces. It's still moving, but you see huge chunks of it separate, fall to the floor, and seem to get swallowed by the carpet. Give me a con saving throw, please.
Oh, that's right. Damn it.
On a 6, this cloud of noxious fumes and spores kick out of the wound in a huge haze that envelop you, choking you. You will be at disadvantage for your next attack, but I believe you do still have another attack.
I do have another attack, but yeah, it's going to be at disadvantage. So that is Fury Greatsword. 14.
A 14 is still just enough to hit.
Oh, yeah. And that's going to be for 24 slashing damage, and I guess another con save. Son of a bitch.
It is indeed. Remember, you guys are doing +4 damage on top of everything with every weapon. So
yeah, I went ahead and added it in. I went ahead and added it in. That's why it's coming up so high. It's the 2d6 plus strength plus rage plus 4 plus the magic 2.
Yeah.
That's why those are big numbers. But yeah, so that's 24 slashing and con again. And I still
6. Fail. You stagger sort of to one leg, but your second up swing cleaves this thing in twain, its body pinwheeling the upper section away into the crater that was created by Pain and Hex's impact. The legs fall to the floor and are immediately torn to pieces by the very floor you're standing on, which is now moving. As you look down, you realize that it looks like it is trying to grip you in place. You are still able to move, but it is...
Yeah, I'm going to go up. I mean, if it looks like someone's grabbing my feet, I'm going to go up and...
Thank you, UK. I'll send it to the DM.
Gregor's probably the heaviest because of his armor. I mean, so is there still spiral staircases up around the outside?
You've got the same spiral staircase you started your way up, but didn't make it up. You know that the spiral staircase is... Like, the floor down here is thick and heavy, like really deep plush carpet. But made of like plant matter and organic material. It's a lot less sort of crazy, but you've got sort of like the walls are there as well, and you know the walls have claimed people, have eaten people. So I mean, it's going to be unpleasant.
So the staircase is still alive. Is looking like it's just as alive as the floor. It doesn't look like it's a place of refuge.
It looks like it's still going to be difficult, but I mean, anything would probably be better than this, which is, you've been in battle before. This looks like it will become a killing floor pretty quickly.
Yeah. So I'm going to grab, I'm going to yell out, to the stairs, and I'm going to, if Gregor will let me, I'm going to drag, can I pick Gregor up and basically dump him on safety on the stairs?
Give me a strength.
Strength or athletics?
Let me at him.
I'll give you an athletics.
That's a 16 on athletics.
It's a 16.
He's heavy.
Yeah, you drag Gregor like one toe, like leaving almost like a tram track straight through, like carving the floor. But you make it to sort of like the bottom few steps, and you notice immediately, like when you touch down, Gregor, like your foot almost immediately, just with your weight, pushes the plant matter aside and finds the stone beneath. There's a lot less problems on the stairs. The floor, however, looks like it's moving.
That's real nice up here. You guys come hang out. Come at me!
Yeah, that's bonus actions and movement, so I'm done.
So you guys are both there at the bottom of the stairs, taking it to Kazna. Kazna, the thing standing that was literally pulling itself up in front of you is torn into pieces by Gavin, who then grabs Gregor and just moves like you've never seen Gavin move.
Are there any others in the immediate vicinity to me?
There are lots. Okay. They are hitting the floor all around you, and it's hard to make out all of them because the ground is moving.
Fighters up there, and I'm going to... Can I use my action to just disengage completely from this floor and use my entire movement to get to the stairs? And can I bonus action stop breathing because of vampires? Okay, as a bonus action. You basically hold your breath and you sort of run for it. Like as you come through, I'm going to say like one of them like comes up and you just like run straight through it, like shoulder check, and it comes apart at the midsection into two pieces. You watch like as you glance back, the hands that are sort of like on the floor holding it up shift, the head moves up through its midsection, and the arms seem to become legs as this tiny bipedal, as you basically split them into two smaller creatures. Okay, I flip them off and keep running. But you make it to the bottom steps. You make it to the bottom few steps, taking it to Pain. Pain, you're up.
Make sure you get out of here alive, I say, looking at Scab. I'm going to give him a bardic inspiration to use whenever, because he has that sword I gave him last time. Everybody seems to be heading on up, too, so I am going to pick up Scab, and I'm going to fly up.
Give me an athletics.
I'm going to use a nat 20.
Nat 20? Nat 20? You come with me if you want to live. Wrap your arm around his waist. He draws his sword, blood flies from the scabbard as he looks up, and you guys just take off. Just barely skimming your feet, you see two of these creatures clash into each other, like scratching at the air, trying to grab you as you begin to climb. Are you joining them on the staircase, or are you going straight up?
I'm going to drop him off by his mum, and I'm going to keep going up because...
Okay. Scab
Delivery.
Scab just like drops down next to you guys as Kazna makes it to the bottom stairs, and he literally lands sort of almost half on the banister, uses it to sort of pull himself up with a slingshot kind of movement, and just begins charging up the stairs. He's almost running on all fours at this point. He has the sword in a backwards kind of grip so it doesn't get in the way, and he is bounding up the stairs. Scab moves pretty damn quick, being part vampire and all.
What a boy, my boy! Look at him go.
He's got vampire dash.
I would have brought him all the way up, but with Kazna having just like quote unquote lost him, Pain doesn't have the heart to like be responsible for his death potentially. She's gonna charge up and be like, "I left you with your mom. I left you in good hands." Like,
as you plunge into the sky, into the unknown, into the darkness above, it is Gregor Tuscan. Go.
Oh, that's actually the different clan of dwarves, the Tuscaners. Okay, so I am at the bottom of the staircase. What is up the top of the staircase? Can I see?
The staircase goes up beyond like your ability to see. You to remind you, last episode, Gavin fired one of his poop bats up there,
That's right.
which is basically a portable light cantrip that, because of Drow Easter stuff, poop spite. It disappeared beyond a certain distance and vanished.
Okay.
But as you got further up, you could see it again. There appears to be like a magical darkness.
Okay, and how many of these like zombie things are down on the ground coming towards us right now?
Give me a quick perception. It's not one take an action or anything. Just as you steal a glance to see what kind of.
That's a nat one.
Nat one.
Like
it looks like the entire floor is moving.
Okay.
There could be any number, but I mean the whole floor looks like it would try and tear you apart at this point.
Okay, I'm gonna pull a super cool dude from the Mummy Wand. I'll take him. And Gregor's like, "Oh, hold him here. Don't worry." And he's gonna like stand at the top of the staircase. If there's one like within 5 feet of me, I'll attack it. If not, I'll just ready my action until they start hoarding onto me and start attacking them.
You see 3 of them literally like slam into the wall, clambering over each other, coming towards you. They don't make any sort of like, there's no snarls, there's no noise of communication or anything like that. They just come towards you with singular purpose. Give me some attacks.
Okay, so I was, Gregor will shout over his shoulder to Kazna and the others, "Make sure Scab is safe!" And he's just going to go wading into these guys and try and hold them at this sort of choke point that I'm imagining the staircase is.
Yeah, absolutely.
17 hit for 20 bludgeoning. You want to
don't forget the +4s.
I've added it in, yeah.
Okay.
And then my second attack is a 15 to hit for
Hits.
22 bludgeoning. Ignore the
Damn,
18.
you got a nat 1 to miss. Damn. That's some ballers. So you slam into the first 2 and just like as they come up, like the first one just knocking him with ease over the banister. The second one like catches you off guard, just grab him by the throat, slam him into the floor, drive him all into his face.
Yeah.
Can you give me a con save as when you start to take these things apart, this noxious, poisonous spore cloud begins to just...
Is he within 10 feet of me?
I'm going to say yes at this point because he's holding them. You guys haven't started moving yet, so yes.
So with Gavin being re-paladinized, he has aura of protection, so you get +4 to your any save that anyone has to make if they're within 10 feet gets a +4.
17.
I'm so glad Gav's back.
Thanks, Gav! He's just... I'm imagining this scene like he's running down the staircase towards him. It's kind of like the... when a rider's right out at Helm's Deep and they're just like wading through these, hordes, and it's just Gregor going down there and taking these
Like
hits.
the first
can't be moved.
episode, actually. It's very...
Yeah.
It is. Oh, we've come full circle.
The feels are real.
As you slam into these creatures, you watch as the air around you, sort of like these spores sort of swirl towards you, and then almost like a pulse of radiance comes from Gavin, and you watch as the cloud burns as these tiny spores individually go off like firecrackers, like fireflies in the night, lighting up, burning away, and the next one just like it clears just in time for Gregor to see the next one, and he just lifts it up and headbutts it as hard as he can, and the thing just breaks apart in front of him.
I've got them here, run!
taking it to the masses. These things are coming in an almost unending swarm at this point. They're moving. You can't make out their numbers. More are still falling. You can hear up ahead. Scab and Pain will both hear more coming from above, and not falling, more coming down to join you down the staircases. So we have some attacks coming in on Gregor Tuscan. I believe you have some pretty sexy AC. So
the dwarf that cannot be moved.
He was the dwarf that cannot be moved. So these things are going to do what they can to come at you, bro. That's a miss, a hit.
Yep, that's a hit on a net 20. Oh, damn!
Damn! And these are kind of come... There we go. So only 2 hits, but these things are going to...
2 hits and nat 20s.
Yep.
Oh, that's 1d20.
AC's a 24, so my plan is I can hold here for quite a while and let you guys get up to the final boss room.
So that is...
Okay.
Oh, wait, they're crits, aren't they? So that's an additional 18 on top of that. So these things come up, and these attack. The first one, like, just punches, like, between the armor plate, and rather unpleasantly, it's almost like a shard of bone, like a shiv that goes through, but as it punches through your arm, it opens up like a banana peel on the other side and seems to anchor itself into place. And internally, in your muscles, around your bone, you feel this thing begin to dig in and eat. It is very unpleasant, but you manage to sort of like twist your arm, snap it off, and just go back to town on these things. But it is going to be an unpleasant battle. Taking it round to Gavin. Gavin, you're up next. Gregor has just basically he's made himself twice as wide than he actually is, which is impressive. Gregor's a big, a large fellow, but he's holding in place, and there are just waves of them coming, and you can see that they are coming in increasingly larger sizes and volumes. And he has them in a choke point. None of them, you've not seen any of them with any ability to sort of fly or climb or anything like that. They're all rushing him. What do you do?
I got this, Gav! Save the kid!
So... I know exactly what I do. I just gotta look it up. Because I don't know exactly how it works. Because I don't know whether... it's concentration. But that's fine. While we're going up, that is going to work. So I use my action before dashing up after the others, or flying up after the others, so I assume I can catch up. I am going to cast heroism on to Gregor Tuscan.
Hey.
So he is immune to being frightened and gains 4 hit points at the start of every turn. So he is healed for 4 hit points at the beginning of every turn for the next minute.
Are they temporary or are they...
Seems like a little bit, but if especially if he goes down, it will put him back up.
Are they temp hit points or are they actual hit points?
It is temp hit points.
Okay.
You're right.
Cool.
Quick question on that same thing, just for Josh. Because I know we haven't been doing it so far, but I just keep forgetting that it exists. But one of the vampire traits is the regeneration. Do we get that, or is that not us?
You regenerate from drinking blood.
Okay. Sick.
Yeah.
Okay. Solid.
And then as a bonus action, and I think this is a good idea, I don't know that for sure, but as a bonus action, I'm going to cast Sanctuary as well on Gregor, so that these guys have to think twice before actually attacking him.
Oh.
Okay, so does that give them disadvantage on attacks against him? Or?
No, they actually have to make a wisdom saving throw. I know you've got lots of creatures out there. I don't know if you can do wisdoms for all of them.
That's cool.
But here's the interesting: they have to choose another target if they fail their wisdom save, I don't know if these things are stupid enough that would actually get them attacking each other as well. But so I'm sanctuarying and aid. Oh, okay. That's 2 spells in a round, and I forget what our rule is on that. Do we do critical role rules or do we do 5e rules?
I'm allowed. You can cast. Hold on. There's
because it's a level 1 and a level 2. I'm sorry. Actually, it's 2 level 1s. Are
they action and bonus action? Yeah?
They are action and bonus.
Then you're fine. You're absolutely fine.
Okay.
So let's have a wisdom saving throw for these things, which are not phenomenal. Wisdom saving throws. There's a 15. I believe that's 1 short.
It is. I am a 16.
It's 1 short. So as describe what they see as they rush up towards Gregor, who is just like there's already a pile of about 10 of these things that are just being like turned into paste underneath the grinding footfalls of the advancing horde. What do they see?
So I swoop down on my wings, or he was within 10 feet of me because of the saving throw. So I just, it's like, you're a good man, Gregor Tuscan. Ew. And when I place my hand on it, you see this sort of divine radiance over his this dwarven armor, which is just beat and battered. With Gavin being a blacksmith, and with this magical energy it flows through, his armor becomes immaculate, as though it were brand new. Any scars that are meaningful to him are still there, but they are, in glorious relief upon the surface of it, and he's just this glowing light of dwarven might, like Moradin himself, standing and holding the stairs.
Gregor, your armor glows as if it's just fresh from the forge. It still has that slight smoldering crack to it. And you watch as these creatures come forward, and you take a step towards them, and just the sheer heat that comes off you, they sort of seem to back off slightly. And for the first time, you hear a strange, horrible chittering sound that, as a man who has spent his life fighting in unimaginable quantities of foes from all walks of life, Gregor knows fear when he smells fear. These creatures are less willing to face something that is burning the air around it. As you've already experienced firsthand, fire is not their friend. Is that everything on your turn, Gavin?
That is everything on my turn. And then I'm going to fly up to catch up with them. I touch him and just say, you're a good man. And then I'm off to go catch up with the others to try to lend my sword.
Gregor's like, fuck off and kill a demon.
Kasna, you're up.
Okay.
You are standing there at the bottom of the stairs.
Okay, and you said that there's starting to be some that's coming down the stairs as well.
You can hear them as opposed to see them, but you can hear.
I'll start running and then like almost pause on a step as Gregor's yelling, and kind of turn back and I'm going to keep running up, and I'll yell back, remember to not breathe. And I'm going to, can I disengage again? Because it does mean that I don't get to have to make opportunity attacks, but obviously we're on a small staircase. So
as you make your as you begin to rush up the stairs, like almost like the same as Scab, almost sort of like falling onto all fours to bound up the stairs with your vampiric agility. Occasionally, like as you're making your way up, something will just punch its way through the wall. Almost like, not like a hand as such, just almost just protrusions like spikes or bits of flesh or bone seem to try and claw at you, and you just charge up, tearing everything apart. You make it up pretty damn quick, and pretty soon you're almost neck and neck with Scab, who is again like rushing up, and he takes the split second to glance sideways to you, and he grins, viciously sharp teeth, as you hear what sounds like a horde coming down to meet you.
Can I see how far we are from the top of the stairs, from where we are?
you've almost made it up to sort of where you guys were before, where the bridge broke. But there are several more tiers to this to make your way up before you will be at the tower's summit.
Okay. I'll look at Scab and I'll give him a vampiric grin and then zero back in on if there's any I can see just zero in on them and just
you see the first sort of group come round the corner again, seeming to almost sort of fall over each other, like tearing each other apart. Like some of them just like straight up like being pushed down the stairs and rolling and getting like trodden underfoot. There is a massive sort of wave coming towards you.
Lick my lips at them. Continue running.
Okay,
it's my turn. I'm only running.
You are closing down the distance. Speaking of which, Pain, you shot straight up into the air. You are there, sort of flying, not having to deal with sort of the stairs. Where are you going?
She's not a wizard by any means, but she has a lot of experience with the Arcana because of her mentor. Would it be safe to assume that she could come to the reasoning that someone has cast like a raise undead spell, therefore there must be a caster somewhere, and since it's coming up from the top, like...
This does not appear to be raise undead. This is like the whole tower is one living thing that is making smaller organisms to fight, but the whole, like every surface seems to be trying to tear the party apart now.
It's got to be that bulb thing at the top. Theoretically. I'm going to keep going up, and I'm going to shout back down to Kazna, who's not here, so, and let her know that you have the last potion, Kazna. Because I had slipped that into her bag, and I need her to know that for her kid. And I'm going to keep, as fast as I can, going up, trying to find this bulb thing, assuming that it's...
Okay. Pain.
Oh, and that thing that I'm also doing. That.
As you basically sort of spiral upwards quickly, you quickly leave behind the rest of the party, not having to tangle with the stairs. And
so I can use my like dash as an action and like go even faster, or is it flight's capped at?
Like... Yeah. I'm going to allow you to like full on charge this.
Yeah.
So up next we have Scab. Scab shoots forward, and he comes straight into the group of these creatures that are in front of him, and he's going to make a series of attacks with his new blade, which is... He was pretty terribly, but with a hell of a lot of damage buffs from you wonderful guys in chat. So let's do this.
Kazna, I had yelled down to you while Pain was flying up that I slipped the last potion into your bag, so... My baby. Save your baby. I will.
So as they sort of as sort of Scab pulls slightly ahead of Kazna, he comes into the group and struggling to make contact with anything. Like just so many bodies, but he swings through, almost sort of like wildly cutting. It's more like he's trying to machete his way through a thicket as opposed to kill individual combatants. But one of them he strikes pretty well and true and drives it off the edge, and blood goes flying everywhere from his blade. And you hear what sounds, being so close, Kazna, you almost hear singing in abyssal coming from the blade as he drives it through these creatures, cutting a path on the stairs and taking it back round. We're going to skip past Gregor, who has them held for this moment.
Yeah, no worries.
And we're going to go to the group, which is going to charge in for Scab. And that's the Zoom chat. That's not helpful to me at all. Oh, damn. Scab.
That's all good.
Scab takes. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3 hits, which are normal. And, that's nice. What was that? 2d6.
First time dying is just now officially your fault, Louise.
No.
I'm holding the door. You're with him.
I'm there.
Scab vanishes into the mass, but you can still see and hear him making noise. You can hear him basically making this savage guttural sound, and you can still see body parts flying out, and it's almost like a he's punched his way into what looks like a whole corridor or a whole stairwell that is like packed to the sides, like wall to banister, with forms that are moving, but you can see a ripple moving against this tide coming down that continues to make progress, despite the fact that you completely lose sight of him. And every now and again, like, one of them gets thrown from the side, and Gregor, somewhere down near you, you watch it hit the floor, pull itself back up, and join the horde to come after you. So that is Scab's turn, taking it round to
fucking easy.
Gavin, you are up. You are climbing.
I'm flying. So, I mean, where am I in relation to the others? Because I know I sort of paused for a moment to help out Gregor. Am I sort of back up? Am I sort of at the back of the group? Am I able to catch up with him because I'm flying?
You're at the back of the group, but I mean, you could just fly straight across. As it wraps round, you don't have to follow. You can like go across the room to join.
I saw Pain disappear above me.
Pain is flying fast. You've almost lost sight of her as she climbs.
I'm actually. I've got the same idea because ever since I was Hex, I felt the strong demon presence up above. Gavin, knowing that he's back, I think is going to think the best person to deal with that, if it's the end of him, is him. So I'm going to double dash straight up the tower, trying to get to the bulb as well.
So 3 golden wings make their way up rapidly. One, a mismatch, the tiefling Pain climbing as quickly as he can.
One black wing, one gold wing.
And trailing behind her, Gavin, essentially a burning phoenix of vengeance coming. And do
you pass by Scab while he's engulfed and just leave him? Because you would have been here with Gregor, Scab wouldn't in Kazna, so he's like...
I thought Kazna's with him, isn't he?
Okay,
Kazna's with him, and you would just see like a mass of bodies.
Okay.
You won't be able to make out individuals. Especially given the fact that Gavin, unfortunately, doesn't have his funky shadow sorcerer ability to see in the dark anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's the other thing.
Human.
I'm human now.
You've got glowy wings, so you've got a little bit of dim light around you.
And a burning ash arm. So, yeah.
5 feet of dim light.
Yeah, I love the fact you turn around to Pain, you're like, oh, she's so edgy. You have like one flaming ash arm, golden radiant wings, phoenix armor.
Oh, we both have darkness and light in us. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I want like little bits of gold and like black falling.
I was gonna say, I've got sparks like coming off of a campfire trailing behind me.
I want like, the slow action kind of lights if you start at like something for too long and then it kind of like trails along behind. Yeah.
So taking it round to Kazna, your son vanishes into the tide, and although you see him still making progress, he is swamped by things.
I have a question to ask.
Do you get Zune Rage? Do you get Zune Rage?
Zune Rage.
I will allow Zune Rage.
It was my family.
Family's in danger.
Family's in danger. If that kid is my family, and ain't no motherfucking plant dicks are gonna stop that.
So Kazna,
That's my girl.
Kazna, who has been charging upwards, who has a great sword sort of in both hands, you take one hand off You no longer need to. I'm presuming you want to dual wield with your moonblade.
Oh fuck yes, absolutely. I see him like disappear into this like mass of shit, and just my eyes just zero, and they almost kind of like roll back to the back of my head, just like replaced by just pure black. And she like lets out a feral growl and just right forwards, like with arms in both hands, swords in both hands, just running right in, and she's gonna cut down any motherfucker that comes in her way.
As you guys sort of rush into this, give me some attacks.
I will. Don't watch me. 24. How many do you want me to make? Because I can make multiple.
Give me some attacks. And let me see what you get.
This is a true
That's also a 21. I can technically only do 2 unless I'm.
Don't you get the sword as a bonus?
Oh yeah, of course.
Because it's light now.
16.
A 16 hits. So.
And I could I do my what's it called? I can't remember the name. Extra attack on the second hand as well.
You know what? I will allow it. I will allow it as you are.
That's an 18. So 24, 21, 16, 18.
So describe to me how Kazna, the Drow blender, makes her way into this group of like bodies that are just like clambering over each other, coming down the staircase towards you.
So she sees Scab kind of like disappear into this mass, and she almost pauses for a moment as she like her eyes like dart from this one place to another where she's seeing these like bits of things flying, and then almost following like the exact same path, she just holds both swords out and just runs in and just is blindly kind of knowing exactly what's where and what's coming where. Like arms are coming in and she's just like, slicing them off as she comes through. Do you want me to roll damage on these things?
Don't need to roll damage as you come into this massive horde. You watch as like the first swing takes 4 of them over the side and breaks the banister to your left, and they go tumbling in pieces off the side. The second cuts so many in twain that you catch essentially the hackles of Scab, knee deep in bodies. You can see flashes. You can smell his blood. You know that he is injured, and that just sends you into a frenzy. The next one is just felled, and pretty quickly you almost sort of like find yourself not being able to run through the mass, having to have had to slow down, but you find yourself next to Scab as he just with one swipe cuts through several of them, and with another hand just tears into one of them with his claws, ripping his skull off and throwing him back. As you now are back to back in a huge horde of these creatures.
As much as we can, I want to be trying to continue moving up.
You guys are still like moving, and you are moving. Okay. You are moving like at a regular run. You have had to slow down from like a vampiric, like full-on four-legged, like all fours sprint to a regular speed, but you are still knocking bodies off the sides, cleaving people apart.
Yes. It's exactly what I wanted my mother-son relationship to be like.
It is now, we're going to actually skip Pain as Pain is climbing rapidly, taking it to Scab, who is beside you. We have, he's going to make some more attacks against these fucking creatures.
Get him, boy! Oh, not like that, that's shit.
He is getting swamped, and you are basically having to like cover for him in places. But I mean, the sheer mass, he's still pushing forward, making progress, but he's starting to struggle. He's never had any military training. He's never been in a fight like this before. He's relying purely on instinct, and he can't feed off these creatures. There is no blood coming out of them. It is not fun. The only blood that you can taste in the air is your son's, as he takes a flurry of more attacks. Speaking of which, these things are going to lay onto you both.
I would have a question as we... I know we're narratively Gregor's down here. Does he see what's going on with Scab? Because it's possible that's probably the one thing that might make him break that stand, would be if
Give me a perception check. You won't be able to see him, but it's whether or not you can hear him and pinpoint the chaos.
Blood. Yeah.
On an 11, you can see the battle is still raging above. You know that the rest of the party are up there. You have got this held in position, but if you pull back now, you can outrun these things. You're pretty sure, but there is no cork in this bottle. If you stop now, every single one of them that gets knocked off the banister that falls down from above gets up and makes its way up the stairs. If you're not here, it's up to you.
In that case, Gregor's going to hold and say, "Get the fuck out of here already!" That'll be my turn.
Okay. So these things are going to make some attacks towards Scab. 3 of them hit, and then the rest are going to frenzy over Kazna.
Oh, come the fuck at me.
Taking to... There we go. You guys, I'm presuming, are holding your breaths, as you stated earlier. So just sort of like doing what you can to not... Being a vampire, not needing to breathe, not inhaling all these noxious spore clouds to keep hitting you. But that is going to be some damage. Scab is starting to look pretty fucking injured, I'm not going to lie.
No. No.
So it is 1, 2, 3.
Fuck.
And Kazna, how many hit you? It was 1, 2, 3, 4 hit you. So
Come at me, motherfuckers.
You are still halving damage, but this is going to cost you in the long run. Remember. Oh, max damage! Damn.
Ooh. This is not fun. This is not a fun time for me.
So 17, 11, 12, and 10. All of that is halved. That is some math right there. It's a round number, though, whatever it is. I think it's 50. I think it's 50. I feel like that's 50.
I can take that.
10, 12, 11, 17. I'm pretty sure that's 50.
This is 20, and viewer decision time.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Does Kazna's water skin full of Gavin's blood
I still
work
have asking.
like human blood healing potion regen for our buddy Scab?
Yeah, can do.
Because you got a whole water skin
I've
full
got like a
of
lot of your blood.
Yeah, you took quite a bit
You drained it.
when you weren't real happy with me.
I remember that. It was a good time. Good times.
So you guys begin sort of climbing, and as they do, there is something that has been claimed by this fungal growth, this plant-like substance. Guys, I need to know, what is the creature that guards the main room? What is the guard dog to this place?
All right, guys.
Something easy to kill. So
Underneath the line
we
in
can
chat, what guards the main room? You guys throw out suggestions, we take them together, we poll them. Goes up on the screen, you guys can click to vote on desktop and mobile. And the most popular decision will happen. And I can't wait for season 2. I've got all these graphics ready for all this. Woo.
Indeed.
Woo.
So here we go. It is now Gavin's turn. Gavin, I presume you're still climbing straight after.
Yeah, I'm going to keep climbing. I mean, does it seem like we're getting close?
You are starting to lose, like, you can see that Pain is in front of you, still climbing, and she hasn't made any, like, attempts to slow down. You can see behind you the party is split twice. You've got a huge mob that is hit the sort of choked midway up the stairs, that is being waded into by 2 people, and down the bottom you can just see what look like sort of bursts of fire, like flashes that seem to be coming from where Gregor is holding the bottom of the stairs.
Gavin's going to yell to Pain, slow down. We all need to make it to the top, seeing as we're getting separated from everyone else. Can I basically dive bomb ambush the back end of all these people who are clogging up this? I want to clear the stairs. I want to do like a big old stair clearing, even if it's not, knocking them at this point. I just want to knock them to the bottom, knowing that we've got the immovable object at the bottom. So whether you want me to do an attack, I would like to knock more off than necessarily slice them apart, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So, Payne, you have a chance to respond as you hear Gavin tell you to basically regroup.
I kind of look down. How bad does it look for the party? Will they not make it unless I go back down?
You can't see. You can't see whoever's on the stairs. They are amidst. Like you can just see bodies getting flung out of what looks like a mosh pit, essentially. Of could be 40, 50 bodies down there, maybe more. You can't make them out. They don't. There's just so much. There's no cohesion.
Is Kasna more than 120 feet away from me?
I'm going to say she's probably just about 120 feet away from you. She's moving pretty damn quick, but you are also...
I am going to use message and say to Kasna, do you need me to come back down and help you fight, or should I scout ahead?
Kasna, you have like a split second between like a blade coming in for your throat of just sheer like bone and flesh. You hear a voice in your head that you vaguely recognize being Payne.
Come here.
All right, I'll use the rest of my action to start bombing back down.
Okay.
I have a thought. What I want to do is, if I can dive in there, or if I can even get a look at Kasna and Scab, I want to hold on to them and then Thunderous Smite to knock all of those things off the stairs down to the floor below. Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a huge impact. Give me some damage rolls, and I'm going to say a dex save for Kasna and Scab.
They're in 10 feet of me, so they get +4 on them. And can they have advantage because I'm holding on to them?
It's whether or not they can sort of make it to you through the horde that is coming. But they do have. Was it +4?
Can I use a nat 20 on it?
Within 10 feet of me, so
I will allow you to spend a nat 20 on it. Take it. Oh, God damn, Scab.
Oh, Scab. Oh, please don't.
On a 20.
Yeah.
On a 20.
Thank God for the pluses on that. My God.
You like basically they sort of like put like against the wall and push through to the banister, and as they get to the banister, they sort of push themselves out, jump, and sort of catch onto you as you swing down and sort of like both hands hit the edge, hit the banister, and the stairwell breaks in this section. And you watch as the sort of pieces begin to fall, and a huge amount of these bodies begin tumbling through, almost sort of like half of them like standing on their fallen comrades or sort of fellow creatures, whatever these things are, clambering onto each other. Some of them straight up like pulling others down with them in a desperate bid to try and find some kind of traction, and they rain down in a huge volume.
So, Gavin, they've sort of leaped onto me as I did my swing. I'm going to reach down, take one in each hand, and just, with all of my might, hold on to them, and then just start this ascent, holding one in each hand up to the thing. It's the Captain America moment when he's holding the helicopter. I'm all straining and shit.
And I shout back to Zune, hoping that the message will work, and never mind.
Well, she should see me. We'll probably pass along the way, but to have the moment, so it's awesome and its awesomeness. I'll spend a nat 20 for the athletics to be able to grab both of them and just like start taking them with me up to
Payne,
the top.
As you sort of let yourself, you stop flying upwards, you fold your wings inwards on yourself, somersault backwards, and begin to plunge back down. You almost have to sort of barrel roll out of the way as what looks like a flaming bird comes flying up. You vaguely able to make out that there are two figures sort of trailing in its talons, with a huge blade sort of on either side, and they begin climbing, not as fast as you, but they begin climbing upwards, leaving this trail of what looks like almost like a burning ash and golden energy falling down. So, as all of this happens, Gregor, a huge volume of fresh combatants smashes into the ground near you, and you watch as they begin to pull themselves up. These creatures are still coming after you en masse. Not
Wisdom
so much
saving
zeal.
throws.
Yeah, indeed. Not much zeal. Still by one failing, as Gregor Tuscan,
Just hacking through with them all.
you are just like smashing. You feel sort of like the grip of your maul is just covered in gore. It's like almost hard to hold onto it, but just through sheer determination, driving it through swathes of enemies. I'm gonna roll some fresh attacks on you. These creatures are not going full ham at you because they are struggling to.
Ha 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 ha!
Not a single one of them.
Ah!
Not a single one of them manages to make their way up, and you manage to sort of like essentially you've made almost like a barricade of their own bodies, which they are sort of struggling to like climb over. And you find yourself with like a split second where sort of the horde is sort of trying now to like climb over them as you knock the last few back into the wall. But you see the whole wall begins to sort of like tilt towards you, and you have one moment of respite.
What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Gregor motherfucking Tuscan.
That's right.
Ew.
Yeah, Gregor like catches his breath for a second and he looks back up the staircase. What do I see?
As you see what looks like you see sort of like where there was this impact of like a part of the stairwell looks like it's broken off. You look up and there is a what looks like burning wings. You can't make out anything else, just burning wings taking off and climbing straight up the center of the tower. You can't make out anyone of your party, but you can make out these two huge golden wings climbing, getting fainter and fainter.
Yeah, he sees that and kind of looks back and says, "You get him home, Gavin." And he turns back and he starts looking at like the horde in front of him, and he just starts to it like kicks a bunch of the bodies down that have formed up into a bit of a wall, and just starts singing this old dwarven war song. And bellows as hordes encroach upon him.
As the wall falls apart in the center, you see fresh bodies come through. You see some of them larger than before. Some you're pretty sure you've already sort of driven into the floor several times over, getting back up. But they come through this choke point, and Gregor smiles to himself, a song in his heart, his maul in his hand, his family in his mind, and he begins his bloody work. And we are going to cut back to the rest of the party as you guys reach what looks to be a ceiling, and you reach it incredibly quickly. It comes out of nowhere, and you see that Payne, are you leading or are you trailing? You are moving faster considering Gavin is carrying everyone.
I will be leading, and I'm also looking for stuff.
As you
Nat 20 looking for it this time around, though.
Gone 100%.
Okay.
As you punch, you basically impact into the ceiling in something that you just suddenly reminiscent of. You have that moment where almost for a second vertigo plays a trick on your mind. You feel like you're plummeting towards the floor again, but this ceiling splits apart. It's almost like a membrane, like a tiny, almost like a drum skin that you punch straight through. And as you do, it sort of peels back with a horrible tearing sound, and you find yourself in what looks to be a huge, almost like for a split second, it would almost look like you are facing the largest spider you've ever seen in your life. There is an abdomen that seems to ripple and move, and there is legs that protrude outwards, anchoring it to either side. But as sort of your vision clears, as you see a golden light pouring down on you, you realize that this looks to be some kind of huge pod that is anchored to the ceiling and the walls, by tubes that look like internal, like veins or arteries, something like that.
Possible.
And
Can we hear Gregor's song from where we are? Are we too far away?
You are other end of the tower, and I mean, you even standing near Gregor, you would struggle to hear over the sheer chaos and carnage that is all around you. You find yourself coming up to what is like a plateau, like a single disc of it looks to be almost more sturdy than the floor, like not plant-like, almost like chitinous. And it is almost like a huge mushroom cap growing downwards out that you can stand on the surface of. And there is a single set of steps that lead up into what looks like it was once a doorway, but is covered in growth and set into the bottom of this huge quivering bulb. Whatever it is, it appears to be sort of like a central chamber, but it is not unguarded. Standing in front of you, there is a figure. This figure is something that some of you can roll me perception checks on. In fact, all of you can roll me perception checks on.
It better not be.
I swear to God, if it
Don't
is,
say it.
I don't
want to hear it.
my life.
You saw what one of the choices was.
8. It's an 8.
Yeah, I did see the choices. And
If it is what I think it is, me rolling an 8 is just a very sad, very sad moment.
You see a figure standing in front of you. The only person who recognizes it in any capacity is Pain. You see at a distance what looks to be a drow. But instead of having dark bluish skin, the skin is a dark green. You see her hair that was once beautiful and long now looks more like twisted vines and growth coming out, and her whole body, while still live and beautiful, is twisted and warped in places. Standing before you, what once was the body of Zune Vandry.
Well, it's an unfortunate day for you, lass. And I'm gonna try and stab Zune.
God damn it, chat!
Oh, God.
But it works so... I hate it, but narratively it works so well.
Oh, never. It's beautiful.
I'm in so much pain, but it's kind of
It's
like
horror
a,
and
like
it's...
a good
it's-
thing.
Yeah.
So, it is...
But you hate it, but you can't help but love it.
Yeah.
Damn you, but no, God, that's good. Damn, fuck.
Yeah. Fucking son of a...
God damn
That's
it.
so good.
Okay, Gavin, you are up first.
Oh God! Can you kill her twice, buddy? Can you do it?
They're killing me.
What? Well, because Gavin, this flaming phoenix, as he's coming up and he takes stock of the room and he looks at this plant like weed that has taken on the form of something that is so painful to him. And because, I mean, he was there, he saw what happened to Zune. He knows this isn't Zune. This is, you know, being a cleric and a paladin makes you pretty wise about stuff. This is someone messing with him. I mean, he was messed. Actually, he says it. He yells into the room, I see what you're doing here. Someone far more deceptive and better at this game than you lived inside me for over a year. That's not Zune Vandry. and you will not use her memory against us. And I want to channel divinity, sacred weapon, and I'm going in there. Fury, my rage should still be up. Yeah, have we been enough stress that the rage works?
I'm gonna keep your rage up. I'm gonna let both of you keep your rage up.
Thank you.
Given the situation.
And normally I wouldn't do this, but Gavin would be pissed enough to do this. I'm going in Divine Fury, Great Weapon Master against this son of a bitch.
Okay, give me those attacks. I have this creature's...
And I'm probably going to be adding a smite too, just letting you know.
Okay.
20.
20 hits.
So let's just start with the normal damage. So that would be 35 slashing damage, and then I would like to put up Divine Smite on this.
Okay.
At level 3.
Number 4 has heard.
Is it undead or a fiend? Just wondering.
Say again?
Is it undead or a fiend?
It may be one of those.
Okay. So that's 15, which brings it up to 50. That's 58 points of slashing and radiant damage on my first swing against this.
As you slice into her, sort of striding forward, swinging with this blow, you watch as she raises her hands and sort of like to sort of ward off the blow, and you cut through one of her arms, taking it off at the elbow. You see it burn, you see her sort of like catch a flame in places, and she staggers backwards. But as she does, she leans down to sort of like catch herself, and where her stump touches the floor, she pulls backwards, pulls up, and what looks to be a fresh arm is growing out of the floor to dig greedily, hungrily into her flesh. This is less... She is incredibly well put together. She is a phenomenal homage to Zune's form. When you tear something from her, what comes back is much more grotesque and violent. That is your first attack.
I'm going to take another attack. Let's do it again. So that's the Divine Fury Master. Ooh, that's an @1. I think Gavin, after that first one, he didn't think it would affect him, striking Zune again.
She looks up almost like there's that moment where she sags and she looks up and she looks at you, makes eye contact, and there's something wrong with her eyes. You can see it there, but she has enough resemblance, and you look at her arm and you notice that there is blood on the floor. And the fact that no other creature you've fought so far in here has had blood, the fact that red, fresh blood pours from the wound, there's that moment where she looks at you as if she can't believe you'd strike her, and it catches you just off guard. And on a @1, she is going to make a retaliatory attack. So I'm going to need you, buddy, old pal, to... Can you give me a dexterity saving throw, please?
It's a high
Ooh.
It's a 16.
Oh,
She splashes up, sort of like swings, and like a globule of acid comes forth and smacks into your armor. And as it hits, there is a puff. Give me a con save, please, old buddy, old pal.
It's a 16 as well.
On a 16, you feel these spores sort of, you inhale, and there's like a grittiness to the air as it travels down your throat, and you feel it inside you, this burning, this itching sensation, as if something begins to take effect. Taking it round, next up, that's taking place elsewhere. Zune stands and
Don't say her name.
Don't you dare!
Don't you dare use her name.
Hey, actually, just to see, and actually, it breaks my concentration on my sanctuary for. Oh no, sanctuary's not concentration. Never mind. It breaks aid, so he's not getting to heal.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
aid because they're
Okay.
aid is the concentration. Sanctuary. I just was
Yeah.
the aid
That's
breaks on
No worries.
so
Gregor, so he's not getting.
as this happens, Zune stands and she opens her mouth almost as if she's going to say something, almost as if she's going to speak. And then you hear the soft pop of bone. Her jaw unhinges, and a huge volume of this noxious gas comes flushing outwards into the party. And this is going to suck, guys. I'm going to need some...
Am I okay with the not breathing?
It is on you guys, and this is going to be something a little different. I need con saves from everyone. As
I use a nat 20.
okay, on a nat 20.
Are the folks within? If folks are within
Get +4, right?
within 10 feet of me,
Mm-hmm.
so you get their +4.
Oh, thank God, I got 19 then, so I make it.
Okay, and Scab. Scab
Come on, man.
manages to hold on as this cloud comes through you. Everyone will take half damage from that, which is 20, 11.
Yep.
So 11 damage, and then she's going to.
Wait, so we just took 11 damage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's that, and then she's going to pull herself back. As she does, you can give me a opportunity attack, Gavin, as she's pulling herself back, but she doesn't walk. Instead, she simply sort of like leans backwards, and the ground seems to push her up.
Am I at disadvantage because I failed the con save on
You are
the
indeed.
last
You are indeed.
on her opportunity attack against me? It's still a 28.
On a 28, fantastic. You can describe. Yeah, give me that swing.
So that is that's 28. No, that's not a rage attack. Sorry, that's 19 points of slashing damage as she pulls away Gavin after this. Her seeing her jaw unhinged. I think it thinks he questioned for a moment. Is that Zune? And now after seeing that cloud of spores come out, he's just like, it can't be, and he just does a big huge backhanded swing with the great sword for 19 slashing.
Okay. She pulls back. It's almost like her legs extend, but they extend and you see them lose their sort of like pale sort of skin like sort of flesh like green and just become sort of plant matter as they push her backwards. And she is essentially almost like standing on almost like her legs become tentacles that sort of launch her into the air, and you just cleave one of these apart, and you watch as it sort of spins offwards like you've severed a hose with this ichor coming out, and you hear Zune scream. It is Kazna's turn. Kazna, in front of you, Zune Vandry, who lifts herself into the air, seeming to be anchored in place or attached to the ground itself, which is starting to move, just as the floor downstairs did.
This is all happening in just quick succession like that.
Yeah.
So she lands awkwardly from where Gavin puts her down and just looks up, ready for a fight, and then sees who she's about to fight, and just watches helplessly as all these other things happen, and then almost kind of tries to shake herself, and then he hears her scream, and she drops her sword to her side. and just looks at Zune, and she'll just Zune, and she can't bring herself to.
As this creature focuses its look, it sort of like stares down at Gavin. The fight seems to quieten for Kazna as you see her hovering above you, and your mind plays tricks, changing the pigmentation of her skin back to how you remember her. She looks younger. She looks almost beautiful, and as she pulls back, that slight distance, if it wasn't for the skin color, she'd almost be perfect.
She gives a slight smile because with even with all of the horrible things that are happening here, this is, and apart from the vines and all the weird stuff, this is very, similar to how they grew up together. They'd spar together. It's how they train. And it's a very unwelcome blast from the past. And Louise hates me for doing this, but I won't take the turn because Kazna wouldn't, and she couldn't.
It's understandable.
She'll just keep looking at this figure, and she's shaking. She's weak. She can't do anything.
Taking it to Pain standing beside you, you notice that Kazna and Scab have both frozen in place. Scab has a very loose grip on his sword, the tip of the blade sort of pressed into the ground, and you can see that his whole body is shaking. You can also see that he is covered in lacerations. He has more blood covering him than... he looks like both him and Kazna are just dripping in viscera. They are both heavily injured, and both of them are standing, staring mute. This creature that you're facing, this mockery of Zune, is now in the air. Gavin only has sort of one opportunity to attack. He has the this tentacle in front of him that is still anchoring Zune to the ground, but she is high above you. What do you do?
She's not looking at me, huh? Try to get her attention. Do you recognize this? Can I pull out the book as a free bonus action?
You don't have the book.
I don't have it? I didn't see it on the way back up? I used my nat 20 on the back up.
I told you.
Okay.
Didn't. No.
Fuck. I throw a chromatic orb of fire then.
Wait, what happened to the book? Wait, what?
I was looking for it on the way back up because we went up and then I didn't see it and then we went back down and I was
The last time you saw the book, there was an arm coming out of it, and then everyone left it on the ledge and jumped. And
that's true.
You haven't seen it
So
since.
there is
the real
Zune. That's actually Zune.
Oh, if it is, I will never return.
As Laura Laney, I want to do so many different things, but as Pain, she launches the chromatic orb of fire. Why are you doing this to me, Josh? Why are you doing this?
Roll me that chromatic orb.
I'm gonna use one of my nat 20s.
Okay.
We still have a fucking plant.
Or is this it?
Or is this
roll-
it? I
roll
think
me-
this is it, and that is the decision I am making. I'm using a fire orb, just I
Roll
kind
me the
of
damage.
hang on, it's coming. Naruto kind of style, power it up, and oh shit, 1d8 for level above.
3d8.
Yeah. Okay.
Plus, whatever for how many levels above. 19. You watch as this ball of fire slams into Zune's sort of hip, and it burns away, sloughs off flesh, leaving what you can make out to be a skeletal frame just beneath. And she turns, and using one of her legendary actions, she's going to look over at Pain, and she's going to...
Oh, I wish I could have metagamed so hard.
She's going to cast... Where is it?
I'm glad I didn't bet money against you, Jay, on this. I'd be only $50.
Can you give me a con save? And Gavin has advanced forward from the party to attack You are no longer within Gavin's protective. It's only 10 feet, isn't it? I believe.
10 feet.
Yeah.
I was gonna use my last nat 20, but I decided for D&D theatrics, since it was such an important moment, I wouldn't, and now I regret that decision.
I regret
so
everything.
hard. Fucking 6.
I regret all of my decisions.
That's 40 necrotic damage. How's Pain looking? You are muted.
Don't you dare.
She's looking good because we had the
We put
blessing
you in.
of people in chat, and
Okay.
so I'm hurt. 14 damage is a lot, but I'm still.
And I will point out, I'm not going to name them, but someone has actually donated for this particular iteration to have it out for one member of the party.
Oh, I did see that actually.
Wait,
It's not
what?
me.
Really? Who?
I will not name names, but you know who you are in chat. You wanted something to bring pain to the pain. Here you are. So, it is taking it round to Scab. Scab is standing next to his mother, is frozen in place, doesn't know what to do. We're going to cut down to Gregor. Gregor, you feel something snap. You feel this connection to the rest of the party, this tether snap. You are maybe waist deep in bodies. You are grievously injured. You are barely managing to stay on your ground. You're probably being held up by the sheer amount of bodies around you. Still more are coming, but worse still, you can hear more coming down the stairs in the opposite direction now. You are going to be caught between two sides, and you feel this energy that Gavin offered you seemingly to flicker and vanish. And they pull back for a split second, but they pull back to gather their numbers and then advance forward as one mass. As behind you, you steal a glance over your shoulder, over in one pauldron, and see them pouring down the stairs. What's on Gregor's mind?
Gregor looks towards the horde in front of him, the horde behind him, and that sort of moment's respite that we give each other as combatants who maybe respect one another after we've both spent so much of our blood. Gregor, he checks something in his breast pocket, and he checks that the letter that he's written is still there, and it is. And then, heaving with wounds all over his body, all through the armor, which is now completely bent and ruined, he begins to take up his song one last time. A dwarven lad, a soldier now, in the ranks of death ye may find him.
A magnanimous dispensation.
Fucking hell, it's a £200 donation.
What?
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 What? What?
Tremois, with the
What?
£200, Josh knows what to do.
No.
Oh, no!
Oh!
So, Gregor Tuscan, as you stand there with forces coming down behind you, what was your last wild magic surge, Will?
I can
Right there
speak.
in the Zoom chat.
I can.
Oh my god!
4, 3, 1.
I can speak to horses once per week for 1d10.
The horses! The horses!
You hear something,
Oh.
and you see a light. You see a light coming from the entrance hall that you guys entered for. You see a flickering in the darkness, like a light coming, like the end. You've seen this light before. You've seen the light at the end of the tunnel. You know it is the time to die.
He sees that. He hears the thunder of the horses, and he doesn't realize what the sound is. He thinks that it's the sound of dwarven boots, like taking him home to Valhalla or whatever kingdom awaits Gregor, and he takes up the song. The dwarven lad, a soldier now in the ranks of death, ye may find him Though the bolts and spears may pierce his flesh, and the fire's red glow may blind him. Fear not, says he, for my wounds may heal, and Cuthbert's light may cure me. For Vandry cures, I would give my life. In the ranks of death ye shall find me. And he charges towards the light.
You said that death does indeed find you. As you see something appear, something burning bright, you see a horse ablaze, on fire, come charging into the main hall and straight into a line that were reforming to come for you guys, straight towards the bottom steps, burning the floor beneath its hooves. And behind it, you see two others spreading out. One breaks its jaw open like that of a dragon or a snake, serpentine-like unhinging, and a huge gout splashes forth and just melts a whole horde of them. It doesn't appear as if war is going to wait in any capacity. In fact, he is leading the charge, but Conquest is just right behind him as 3 horses of the apocalypse come charging through. And as they come like a spear cutting through the masses, you hear more hooves. And behind him,
don't you dare.
There is a 4th horse.
Oh, come on.
Christ.
This horse is broken and tattered and twisted and splintered. But he joins the ranks, and all 4 of them at once charge the bottom stairs, burning through the group. You had a specific thing you wanted your armor to do, your horse's armor to do, Conquest's armor to do, Gregor. Can you remember what that was?
I don't even remember.
It was magnetic.
That's right. Oh, it's magnetic.
And as he comes forward, it charges, and he loads, almost like a rhino's charge, loads its head into the midst, and you are flung backwards onto his saddle, laying across it, dripping in blood, as all 4 of these horses, like the riders of Rohan in reverse, charge up these stairs, and they begin to pick up pace. They leave burning steps behind them, torching the wall, and a scream is heard. But it's not a scream that comes through any mouth. The entire tower begins to catch alight as War, the flaming horse, Gavin's horse, burns the wall. And as you are coming up beside you, you feel some semblance of energy return to you, and you can take a 3d10 of healing.
Ooh, that's turned into 5d10 actually, because I have a donation for a couple of heals. Thank you.
There you are. 5d10 of healing, as it is not your time to die, it would seem. Specifically, you have been told this by the Horse of Death himself.
Not today.
And like a chariot of fire, there are reinforcements coming. So, if you guys are composed enough, it is Gavin Fjordhammer's turn. Gavin, you watch as in front of you, Zune suddenly seems to ripple, and behind her, the whole pod-like chamber seems to shudder. And there is a sound of 1,000 mouths screaming that make up a chorus that doesn't know how to speak, that doesn't remember how, as every mouth in this building, every voice in this accursed tower seems to let out in unison a scream of pain that comes rippling from below. Zune seems momentarily stunned. It is your turn.
Gavin looks at the seed. So you said that when pain hit, I see like a skeleton, like actual bone skeleton inside of the effigy of Zoo.
Yeah. It has not changed the shape of her. It has not used parts of her bone to make her into a more effective weapon. It is channeling her magically, as opposed to...
She is, even though she's in the air, she has remained attached to the floor, and this seed pod is attached to the walls.
Yes.
Gavin looks at Zune, just goes, turns away, looks at the seed and goes, clever girl. And he attacks the seed.
God, I can't do this.
And so he turns around. Yeah, he's doing full Divine Fury Master, Great Weapon Master on the seed. It's 22.
At 22, you pierce through the armor that it's just like really dense. Almost, it's not leather, it's just unbelievably thick. Like you're expecting there to be a clear carry through, but your blade gets lodged in. But roll me that damage.
And I'm going to smite the fruit out of this. So, damn, that is, before we even do the Divine Smite, that is 39 points of slashing damage.
That fucking hurts, this thing.
And Divine Smite, he just loads up. The wings begin to glow. The fact that he thought that, he was smarter and then he got tricked. This is him striking out against people, the lies and deceit of the world. And he flips around for another 18 points on top of that. So that's 39 plus 18 is 40. Gosh, 39 plus 18 is 49, 57 points of radiant and slashing damage into the seed.
As you slice in, there is a split that appears, and inside you can see something. Give me a perception check, my friend.
Come on. 17.
Inside, you see a figure. It is huge. You can make out what appears to be an ankle and the bottom half of a leg, and you can see hands moving above, and you watch as one moves and twists its fingers, and as it does, it pulls towards itself, pulls inwards. And from behind you, Zune moves, and she's going to use a legendary action. And you are going to take... What is it? Still got another one. Going to use it. Can you give me a con save, please?
Yeah, I'll take it. It's an 11.
You take 27 points of necrotic damage as Zune turns, almost as if beckoned by this hand. She turns with a sudden, no fluidity, no grace. She jerks sideways, holds out a hand almost at an unnaturally twisting angle, and this energy launches outwards to you and hits you.
Gavin just takes it full on the back and just goes, I will not be fooled again. I'm going to use my nat 20 on this.
Okay.
Again, Divine Fury, Great Weapon Master.
Okay.
So that is going to be for 37 plus another 15.
Dispensation.
47, 52 plus Pally Divine Smite at third level, my last one.
Oh my
Another 18, which is, golly, I'm going to have to get a pencil. 18, 18, which is 36, plus another 5 is 40, 41. So 41 plus 52 is 93 points of slashing and divine holy energy. Gavin's wings, just that phoenix fire just sort of comes into a burning, almost like white hot nova that then just flows down into his arms. The ember arm doesn't even look like it is like a log in a fire anymore. It just burns, just bright white orange, and the sword ignites as it just burrows into this seed, as all of Gavin's pent-up frustration and fury and indignation of the fact that this thing made him face Zune flows into this seed.
You slice into this thing and it opens up and like it seems to burn apart at the sides. You watch as it's almost like when you start that single spot, like when you hold something incredibly hot to paper and you watch just the embers, the edges spread outwards, leaving ash behind. This burns and you see the skin, the flesh of this pod begin to char. And beneath, you see what looks to be doors that have been smashed to pieces, and on the other side, a face turns to look at you. Give me a wisdom saving throw, please, buddy.
We have advantage on wisdom saving throw because of Beacon of Hope.
Beacon of Hope.
And I don't have any more than that 20, so...
On a 25, you look up at something. Give me a religion check.
Oh.
Oh, it's a nat one.
On a nat one.
I should have said that I had an advantage. I should have used it.
I will, as it's the season finale, I will allow an advantage.
Yep, I have one advantage that's been donated. I've been sitting on it since for so long.
Shit, so do I.
You look up and a name comes to you. She is the Demon Queen of Fungi.
Damn it.
Zugtamoy looks down at you, and you see malice and fury is completely absent across her face. There is no anger, there is no hatred, nothing. No emotion whatsoever. A face that is beautiful, with a huge headpiece that is just pieces of fungus, almost like a peacock, spread outward. She is green and pale, and she looks down at you, and you see this horrible amount of tentacles come flooding up towards you from the ground, and you realize that her feet are untwisting, unraveling into vicious, almost like spears.
Can I, with my religion check, can I just throw something? It'll just be a little meta, but... So, you rotten bitch.
Hey!
Did Jubilix throw you out of the slime pits? Come slumming up here? Go back to your decay and rot.
And it is Zune's turn. Zune turns, and Gavin, you feel her hands grab you from behind as she throws herself at you and grabs you. And she is going to... where are you? So, she is going to... where are you? There we go. Dig her hands, almost sort of try and dig into the armor that you are wearing. And... what do I have? This is going to be fun. Does a 28 hit?
It does.
She is going to do this
at ugly levels.
That'll be 36.
That's
So
58 points of damage.
58, and you feel her dig her hands, her nails in, but she doesn't try to go for like your head or neck. She digs her hands into your wings, and Kazna, Pain, and Scab, you watch the wings flicker from a gold to a black as she draws blood and begins to tear them from your back. You are going to lose your flight speed as she burrows into you, essentially digging her hands into your spine.
Okay. I'm still up, but yeah, that hurt.
You are still up. It is Kazna's turn. Kazna, you see Gavin lets out a scream of agony.
She she catches herself and like looks back down to where they left Gregor and looks to Scab, to Pain, and to where Gavin is being like very badly hurt, and setting a grimace in her face, she'll pull both of her swords back up, and with kind of like slow calculated movements, like steps over to where they are, she kind of just sheaves her blades and goes, "I buried you once, and as the last of the bloodline of House Vandry, I shall do so again." And I want to swing out on the first attack against my sort of reanimated sister at a 24.
The viewer decision as well, friends.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So I want to do 2 into Zune, if I can. Well, 14, that's really low. That's really bad. Is that 14 gonna make it? You're muted. I can't.
You're actually at advantage because she is technically grappled.
17 then. Would that make it as well?
17 will just hit.
Okay, so I want to do those first 2 like angry hits into her, and then just to kind of try and get her off of Gavin, and then turn, and with my second 2, I want to use my new short sword, and I want to stick him right into this bitch in this pod.
Okay.
For a 17 again and 28.
Are you going after? So are you attacking Zune with that, or are you attacking the other one?
Attacking the other one, and I was going to do it, but I forgot. I forgot to say I wanted to use a natural 20 on one of them.
I will allow you to use a natural 20.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so for Zune, damage is 23 on the first one. Wait, is that right? Yeah, 23 on the first one.
Kazna, make me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh my god.
Do you have advantage on all wisdom saving throws?
Natural.
You don't need
You have a nat 20 as for the second time you watch Zune Vandry be decapitated in 2 pieces from the hip to midway up her side. And you remember the exact moment where you changed, and you remember seeing her, you remember the rage, you remember fighting a Balor demon, and it cut her in half in the exact same way that you do now, with a greatsword in exactly the same way. And you see her hands, which are dug into the back of Gavin, slowly lose their grip, and she falls backwards, tumbling in 2 pieces, spinning away onto the floor. For the viewer decision, ladies and gentlemen, does Zuktamoy stay and fight? Or does she decide against it and retreat?
Can I do my attacks against her?
I will allow your attacks against her as the party make its way into her pod.
So she watches in mesmerized horror as Zune falls in front of her, and then tears in her eyes, she'll spin and turn to her new foe, and with now that she has this one sword that's imbued with the soul of Hex, who got her sister killed, and the other sword, which just killed her sister, imbued with rage at herself, at everything. She's going to make her next attacks into those, one at a nat 20. And if the first attack killed Zune, would I be able to use the next 3 on...
You can indeed.
Okay, so that is... that's a 24. First off, and then that's a 14, and then 1 at a nat 20. What do I add for the critical?
Which one do you want to use critical on your first attack?
This next one, which I'm...
Okay, the next one. Just go ahead and roll it, and I'll do the math. I can do the quick math.
That's only a 13.
So it just makes it up to an 18.
Okay. So she's just wailing in on this, like not even like stopping to think about like what she's doing. She's just fucking mad.
8, 9, 10. 8 and 8 is 16. So that's 56 points of slashing.
And what I want to do is use my which is the one I want to use, Axe and Surge, and I want to go
there
again.
You go.
I want to go again because this so that's another 4 hits. So that's a 21. That's a natural 20.
Damn.
And then that's a
another
advantage, another natural 20.
You are.
And that's 24. All hit, right?
They all hit. God damn.
Okay, so that's a 18 on the first one. And then the nat 20 is that number. And then... Oh, boy. Oh,
yeah, Tosco, you do have a nat 20 from Genli here.
And then that's... Oh, there's so many numbers happening
I've got
right
it.
now.
Right.
Okay.
Wow, is that right?
That's a lot of math.
That's multiple maths.
Yeah, no, that's right. Let me double check that because that just seems really crazy. I think it's 84, but let me double check. 5 plus 8 plus 14 plus 6. Yep. It is. It's 84.
Yelling out primal rage as he's just slashing in to this bitch that thought that she had the power to reanimate my sister in front of us.
Actually, 80. The last 4 doesn't count.
Okay.
So 80 points of...
This, you start hacking into it. You cut your way through the tendrils that come forth to try and skewer the party, making your way forward and basically stab into. And Kazna essentially begins to climb up the leg of Zugtamoy, cutting away at flesh, using her blades to anchor her in place as tendrils come for her to tear her down. And it is next up, Pain. Pain, you're up. You are muted. I do apologize.
It doesn't matter. I don't have anything to say. I just, as my brain is such a fog right now, trying to figure out. So Zune's body is falling to the ground. Gavin is free. Kazna is there. Scab is fine. Does the pod look like it's still alive?
The pod is still moving, but it is heavily damaged. In comparison to how big it is, it's not a massive amount of damage, but Gavin has torn a huge hole in it.
I'm going to launch another chromatic orb if I can, like, fly around and
absolutely.
launching at it.
Are you hitting the pod or are you hitting her?
The pod.
Okay.
Zune's corpse is falling to the ground now, or the animation of her, whatever it is. I don't want to know. So I'm just going to continue attacking the pod because that's
me the damage.
You are going for. It's just 2d8, right? Yeah.
It is indeed. It's 3d8.
It's a little. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Woo!
So this thing, I'm gonna say you can't really miss this thing. You slam into another section of it, and that section begins to burn away as a new blistering hole begins to appear. And through it, you see a hand moving, swiping downwards, as she's going to make an attack against dear old Gavin as a legendary. So. Does a 13 hit you? God damn!
It does not.
Oh, some legendary.
As
She shook. That rotting bitch comment really got to her.
and she brings down a fist that just it blocks out pretty much the entire hole you've cut into. But as the fist comes back, you notice that the fist is not alone. The fist doesn't pull back unoccupied, as there is a small tiefling clinging onto the knuckles with a sword that screams in abyssal buried between two of the knuckles. As Scab runs forward at this point and manages to anchor himself to her hand, and he's going to make some fucking attacks. And he's not going to use his sword because he can't at the moment. So he's just going to try and claw him.
Get him, son.
Get him.
Get him.
Oh! On a nat 1.
Oh, and a nat 2.
Scab.
And a 4.
Scab is, as he is lifted up, he is flung, and you lose sight of him as he goes flying through the air. And when the hand comes round again, you see the blade still buried in her hand, but there is no scab attached to it.
Oh, you bitch.
And as that happens, outside, you hear a thunderous sound.
Oh, here
coming up the stairs.
Here comes the cavalry.
A cavalry charge for the ages as 4 horses lit by fire come charging up. And they are going to go headlong forward, and none of them are going to break. They are coming towards a gap, this tiny gap. They are not breaking. Gregor, you are riding on the back of Conquest, managing to have pulled yourself into the saddle. There's no way in hell that you guys are going to be able to, you are going to hit a choke point, and it's going to be horrible. This is something that is from last episode. It came in really late. I don't know if he's here, Darkstalker. This is yours from last episode. From the darkness, hidden in shadow, outstretches a single hand that is entirely pitch black, and it casts Disintegrate on the wall of this pod. And there are whispers in a litany of languages, but the one that you would recognize, Kazna, would be Dark Elven.
Don't do this to me.
Oh, that's Ronan's donation. I was gonna say, I thought that was Ronan's donations, not Darkstalker from last time.
Oh, there we go, there we go. So, there we go. As, from beyond, Disintegrate, how many dice is that? This is gonna suck. That's...
Dude, Disintegrate's a horrible, horrible spell.
Is she what is she
It's that
casting?
plus 40 that just really hurts.
Yeah. That's a bit like it.
10. Roll 10d6. 10d. Yeah, 10d6 plus 40. Oh, come on.
That's not
2016.
correct.
10d6 plus 40. 74 damage. Damn. As the side of the pod blackens for a second and then turns to ash. And Zugtamoy is standing exposed. As a cavalry charge of the horses appears, Gregor, you quickly overtake. You fly past Pain, sort of in a blur of fire, and you go charging into them.
It's coming. Gregor rushes in on Conquest, and he looks towards Gavin and says, "Right in, bitch! That's my lane!" and he's gonna vomit on her using all 3 of my natural 20s.
All
Spend
3
them all.
of your natural 20s, as at the same time, War opens his mouth and a huge gout of flame like a dragon's breath comes forth. At the same time, Pestilence opens its mouth and poisonous acid launches forward.
It's the boys.
Conquest takes the lead. And are you guys familiar with what nightmares have the capacity to do? One thing they can do, they can't fly, but they do have the ability to open portals. All 4 of them combined open something, like a tear, and behind her, and drive into her as she staggers for a second. You see her leg give under the sheer onslaught. You see the inside of the pod catch fire in a huge inferno that spreads up the walls as everything that is burnable, which is pretty much everything in here, catches alight, and the cavalry charge hits her full force and drives her backwards. She manages to grab hold of the side of the pod, and with one huge tear, you see her nails dig in. Huge gouts, rivers of ichor flow down as she is driven backwards, and fire begins to envelop her. And as quick as it happens, the portal begins to close.
Do the horses go through the portal?
Or knock her through.
The horses push her through as the portal closes behind her. You guys are now standing in a city, well, in the top of a tower, which is burning. You see the air begins to catch fire just from the sheer heat. All of the spores begin to explode like firecrackers. There is a light show in here. The heat is suddenly unbearable. Fire goes everywhere. It spreads from all sides and goes wild. It is the end of Gregor's turn. It is Gavin's turn. Gavin, you are standing there. There is a huge distortion. You are wingless. The air is burning. Everything around you is on fire. What do you do?
I mount War. And
War is gone.
Oh, that's what I didn't understand. They went through the portal.
They are through
the portal.
All 4 horses are on the other side and have vanished.
My wings are gone, or they are just
They are gone. They are gone. They have been torn from your back. You have gaping wounds in your back where your shoulder blades are.
I'm going to go off book because I know we're close to time. This is, you can stop me if you want, Josh. Is there any place of refuge whatsoever?
You could probably get to the plateau that is just outside.
No, I mean in this room.
In this room, no. Everything is burning.
Top of the tower.
Yeah. However, you do see the ceiling starting to give in places. The sheer structure, the plant life burning, it's probably the only thing keeping this tower standing.
Gavin yells for everyone to gather on, because the seed was on a platform, right?
It is indeed.
I yell for Kazna, for Gregor, for Payne, and myself to gather on the platform.
Scab
as well, yes.
Scab comes limping out of the flames, badly injured. very badly injured.
I know of only one person who could have gotten us out of this hellish place and back to some form of normalcy. He takes off the breastplate of the armor of the Phoenix, and I look to Kazna. I saw through Hex's eyes. Do you have them?
I have them. And I'm going to reach back into my bag and pull out a small vial. A vial which contains the last of Zune Vandry's ashes from where she died.
And using the breastplate of the Phoenix, I pour the ashes of Zune Vandry upon them. And using my nat 20.
I'll use mine as well if you need it, Josh. If you feel it needs more, I will give it.
I've not used my lay on hands this entire time for this express purpose. I channel my lay on hands and all the powers that Gavin has, his beacon of hope, his lay on hands, and his divine rage that he had. He turns it into the power of creation to try to ignite this armor to do what phoenixes do, to rise Zune from her ashes, knowing that here in this last moment, in this horrible place, that it's not Gavin who is their only hope, but it is Zune Vandry.
And Kazna's like gripping onto the house sigil that she got, and she's just whispering in Dark Elven back to the voice that she heard just moments ago. Come on, sister. You never just let me win before.
You have a moment where the armor, the blackness, the energy that managed to sustain Hex pulls forward. And as it sort of pulls itself up and seems to relinquish itself of the metal that it was laid across, Kazna, you hold out the ring, and the ring seems to almost float out of your palm. From these ashes which you have spread, something begins to happen. You see, amongst all the flames, amongst the world burning around you, you watch as it ripples and twists into what looks to be something beating. And slowly it begins to resemble a heart. It is black, which settles an argument many people may have had. But slowly it begins to beat stronger, and outward from it you watch as Kazna, your sword begins to buzz, and you feel something. You hear something. It's a tearing sound in your head as something in the sword lets out a scream of agony. And you see something float out of the darkness behind you. It is a book that is black and beautiful and old and tattered. And from it, from the pages, inkless pages that have no words, all of the ink has formed into one hand. and it clutches its fingers sharp and pointed. And you hear, for the second time, the sound of Hex scream. And you watch as, needing that spark,
Soul power. The soul power.
the book tears his soul from your sword. And the book closes and then falls to the floor, motionless, next to this beating heart. And piece by piece, veins begin to appear, quivering, crawling outwards like snakes, taking on the form of what looks like a circulatory system and solidifying around bone as black as the obsidian this very tower is made of. And darkness begins to wrap around it from the armor, giving it a solid shell, a form. And the armor breaks apart, becoming useless and broken, and finally there is a humanoid shape laying prone, spread eagle, on its back. Finally, the darkness clears, and you see skin appear. It is beautiful and could almost be described as porcelain, but it is blackened and dark in a true dark elven way. And there are a few moments when nothing happens as the final details form, as hair, long and beautiful, grows down her back.
It's real soon.
Her hands twitch as to her feet. And she lays there entirely prone, flat, unmoving, cold. Finally, her eyes crack open.
You bitch. Cassandra's just like full on crying. Welcome fucking back. Wait a minute, I'm going to run right over there. I'm going to drag her up and I'm going to hug her.
Gavin just keeps his head down and so happy that it worked, but so ashamed for what this body and what he was unable to stop.
We have to go. We have to get out of here.
Zune, can you get us out of here?
I'm a Vandry. Of course I can.
Go. Zoom.
I need her character sheet. It's there. Did I not get teleport as a spell?
Sure you did.
Should have done. You should do.
Sure you did. You learned it in the afterlife.
Yeah, you did. You learned it. Remember?
Of course you did.
Remember that time you learned it?
That Vandry, you know it all. You know everything.
I don't have it on my spell sheet.
You cast teleport. Say the words.
It's there.
I cast teleport. I know it's there. It's just not on my sheet, so I have no thing to click for anticlimactic. I know. But...
So as Zune stands on fresh legs, and for the first time in a very long time, having very little in the way of clothing having materialized with her, feels the ground beneath her feet, actually feels the ground beneath her feet, feels sensation, breathes, and actually feels breathing. She utters the
There it
words,
is.
and there is a glimmer of green that isn't putrid or rotten. And the party step through. You step through and find yourself standing amongst tents, standing beside a huge tree.
For fuck's sake.
Looking at the floor plan for a building that has suffered a huge amount of fire damage.
Oh,
We're back.
Yeah,
we're
we're
You made it
back.
back.
Let's go see Clay! He's dead! No!
You stand there and as you do, there is the sound of metal hitting the floor. Gregor, you made it back to green.
All I wanted.
I'm going to do the least drow thing any drow has ever done in the history of being a drow, and I'm tackle hugging that bitch to the ground.
He doesn't put up much of a fight.
It's a she. It's
Oh,
soon.
Soon.
I actually tackle hug Gregor, just big bro hug.
Gregor kind of...
You saved your soul.
Usually there's like a lot of resistance, he can't be moved.
Oh yeah.
But Gregor sort of like falls into your arms, the sound of that funking from when he's fallen to his knees, and just all of the wounds and the blood pouring from Gregor has finally overcome him. And Gavin would know, being a healer, that Gregor is dying.
Get up.
Yeah, I've got. Well, I mean, Gregor. I'm sorry, Gavin looks at him and it's not your time yet. And I cast Cure Wounds on him at a 2nd level, and I say to him, "This seems to be a mighty fine place for a dwarf to build a tavern and raise a family.
Oh,
Under a tree. I hear there's a forge in back even. Maybe I'll stick around for a while."
Looks very pale. The rot.
As you look over Gregor, you realize that his wounds haven't closed. You can see that there appears to be something that's eaten away at him, and what initially looked like rather minor wounds, he has been almost feasted on internally.
Got me pretty good, Gav. I held them as long as I could. I don't think there's...
Can Kasna run over?
Yeah.
She kind of like, she like hears like in the back of her head this, and she like gets him and she kind of scampers like almost falling over across the ground, and she's like trying to like pick up his head and like check around and check for wounds. And she's like, no, this can't. And she's going to pull out like she has 2 vials left, and she's going to start like trying to like drink this. You can't do this to me now.
It's done. Kaz. It's done. We did it. He cracks a toothy grin. We did it, and I did never think we would.
We only ever did it because of you, and you can't now. What about we were gonna settle down?
Oh, you can. You and Scab. I've left a note. It's got all of my will, testament, I guess. Kind of saw this one coming. This is a nice place. You and Scab will be happy here, I hope.
Don't. And she's like gonna kind of like wrap him in the hug, like kind of cradling his head. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay.
I know. I'm not afraid.
And Scab and I will come see you every day. And we'll build that tavern. And we'll build it for you. We'll have a special ale on tap. It's named after you.
Oh, I like that. That'll be nice. Yeah.
Ian's just gonna quietly walk up behind Kazna.
Scab finally manages to take a few steps over to Gregor, and his legs give out. And he takes Gregor's hand shakily.
Son.
Yeah.
Will he be alright? Say I'll be a warrior. Legend.
Guy, I hope you tell that story yourself. You're always really good at stories. You always told me about this place. He points to the wreck of the tavern. You said leaving here was one of the hardest things you've ever done. And now you're back, and
It's your story to tell now, not mine. We all get our time, Scab. I've had mine. God knows I'm tired. No, really tired. My war is done. I hope you don't have to fight one.
You fought so well, Gregor. You were the best soldier
A magnanimous dispensation.
The best friend anyone could ask for. The best partner anyone could ask for. The best thing that happened to me in this dark shithole of a world. I wanted to thank you.
Me? So I'm the one that should be thanking you. After all this war and fighting, there was no meaning to it until you came along. Scab, and I want to thank you too for giving my life some purpose, some meaning. Without that, I don't think any of it would have been worth it, but with you two, I know that it is. It's all been worth it.
I'll lean down and wordlessly give him one last kiss. Then I'll pull back a bit, still holding him, but kind of pull back a bit so I'm closer to Scab and the others.
Goodbye, good dwarf.
He smiles, seeing Zune. Fuck you too.
I won't bring you back. Don't worry. Rest now. Your time has come.
Yes. The halls. The halls of Moradin await you, my friend. And don't worry, it will just be a short walk to get there.
He smiles and closes his eyes, and they don't
You
open up
watch
again.
You watch as Gregor's plate shifts one final time. And you realise that there's actually a bit of a crowd around. Groups of people who have stopped in the street to realise that something is happening and no one seems to understand the truth of it. But one figure steps forward out of the group. It's a dwarf who has a blacksmith's hammer hanging from his hip. And he looks down and sees Gregor and looks back at the gutted establishment, the fire-torched establishment, and he turns and says, "We're not supposed to be open for another little while now, but the kegs have already arrived. We'll light a pyre for one of our heroes. Everyone has a drink on me." And he walks over and he pulls where the door has been boarded up. He just pulls sort of the planks aside, opens up, and almost like ash just kicks out. And it's dark inside, but he lights a torch and says, "Come, everyone, gather round. Let me tell you the tale of one of the greatest soldiers I ever met. The tale of Gregor Tuscan."
Ew.
Ooh. Kasna's still holding him, and as she's holding him, she's just whispering out his song, the song that will now become to know as the Tuscan song, which we will sing in taverns for years to come. The dwarven lad, soldier now, in the ranks of death ye may find him. Through the bolts and spears may pierce his flesh, and the fire's red glow may bind him. "Fear not," says he, "for my wounds may heal, and Cuthbert's light may cure me. For Vandry cause I would give my life. In the ranks of death ye shall find me."
And I think we will end our tale there. I want to take a moment before everyone else and just say that this has been one of my favourite campaigns I've ever run in my life, and one of the best DMing experiences I've ever had. And it's not just because it's not down to the writing, in my opinion. It's down to the players that I have had the pleasure of playing with today. They are probably a group that I would pick over any other group to play with. Everyone out there, I love you so much, and if I have a chance to play with you, I always encourage to play with other people, but this group here have become closer to me than family in a lot of ways. So these guys are some of the best role players ever, and please give it up to them in chat, because my god, they have made the past 2 years amazing. And this is not the end for everyone, but I want a special shout out to Louise, who isn't going to be with us. She's taking some time away. But she is phenomenal. I've been role-playing with Louise for a really long time now, through Herbie, Aquila, and the geese, and her
Danny.
dying as Danny and breaking my heart live on stream.
Oh,
actually introducing me to everyone. She is amazing, and it's been an
full
absolute
circle now. I'm crying.
it is an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much to which one of you, Gavin, for the absolute fuckery that's been me and you going back and forth, and it's not always been clear. And you have stuck with me through so much stuff, and I couldn't ask that of anyone else. You are a pillar of fortitude through the craziness that is my mind and the way my mind works. So a huge shout out to Tool School for that, and thank you to Tia, who has. I don't know how she can stand the sight of me sometimes, much less everything else. But for going through so much torment, for being possibly a fan favorite, the most hated character, the most loved character, the most you had to come down on one side or another. But the complexity of it all. I promise you I didn't write in anyone's death to this campaign whatsoever. I didn't write in any railroading mechanics or anything like that. You guys have been in a living, breathing world, and you have made it for me feel like a living and breathing world. And I cannot wait to hear the tales of this campaign echo back through Season 3. Final, I just need to say thank you to Will for letting me do this. He's the best DM I've ever played with. I learned role playing through Will. I learned how to be a player and then be a DM. He's taught me everything I know pretty much. He's been my inspiration for a fucking long time, and one of my best mates. And he has helped me through so much stuff. So I can't say enough about him. And yeah, I just needed to take some time to decompress and say thank you to everyone. Oh my God. We'll go around and we'll say hi to everyone, but the Long March will carry on next season, literally next week, the Long March. But we will be following a new set of characters in a different part of the world. There'll be a trailer at the end of this that you guys can view, which is going to be amazing. It's amazingly done. It's the coolest thing ever. I'm so hyped. There's nothing cooler than looking at the T-screen and be like, that's my campaign, like, God! But for everyone, we've got a new player coming in, not to replace Louise. We could never replace Louise, and we hope to see her in the future. But we have a new player who I hope you'll all make feel as welcome as you have all of the other players. Thank you so much, chat, for getting involved and for shaping so many things. And I love you guys, one and all.
The finale wouldn't have been the same without you guys.
Oh my God.
Man,
That was awesome.
Nothing would have been the same.
It's true.
Yeah, fuck. Well, I put up the screen for Season 3, Long March Kingmaker, next week. New stories, new characters, new beginnings. Louise, though, let's go to you.
A magnanimous dispensation.
Holy shit, Sketchy with the £50 donation. That was fucking glorious, dude. Let me just take a moment here as well, before we get to Louise, to thank you guys in the audience for making the Long March so much fun every week. It adds just such another level to a campaign when you know that there are hundreds, thousands of people out there who have watched the Long March and who have enjoyed our productions that we've been putting on here for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So it's really lovely that you guys are here each week and so many people watching the shows and the finales, and it means a lot to us. So thank you guys for that. And man, Louise, we're gonna miss you. We're losing Louise. Everybody, can we get some love? Get some hearts and chat for Louise.
We're not losing her. She's just taking a break because you're gonna come back.
I mean, I don't think you could keep me away with a 7-foot pole. Like, I'll be back. I have many things that I want to say, but I don't think there are actual physical words that I can use to say them.
Yeah, dude, I feel...
But I want to, before I say anything about who I am, I want to thank, firstly, the incredible crews that I've had, not since it's been 2 solid years of me being here at Encounter Roleplay, and I've loved every single role, no matter how terrible they usually are for me. I've learned so much. I've made so many amazing lifelong friends along the way, and this crew, who's been the longest crew that I've been with in my history of Encounter Roleplay, you're an absolute fucking delight. And I've learned so much just from being in your guys' presence. Like, Josh, your DMing is fucking amazing. And your descriptions, my God, inhuman. School role playing, like, always gets me. I always choke up whenever anything happens. Like, I still have a long way to go before I get to where you are, but I'm gonna find you. I'm on my way. I'm coming. And my sister from another mister. This was the first actually campaign that I met you. We didn't know each other before the Long March, and if nothing else, I'm so glad that we had the Long March, that we could have known each other, because you're amazing and I love everything about you, and you're great. And Will, I have no words to thank you for the opportunities that I've had whilst I've been here at this chair on this screen, and I just thank you so much for everything that you do, and all the crazy, insane work that you put into it that makes every moment possible. Of course, thank you to everybody in the chat, on Twitter, on the Discords, on everywhere, that are continuously supporting. It means so much, and I love you guys so much. It's like 16 weeks that I'll be away, something like that.
Not long,
right? Not long.
No.
I'll be back.
We've been on longer marches.
Yeah, we've been on much
longer marches.
I have my own long march to do, and I will come back hopefully wiser for it. But I'm very excited to come back, and you should all be very excited for the next season that's coming up, because it is going to be great, and I will be there in chat when I can be. So you better be joining me in there. Oh God. There's more I want to say, but there's not enough words. Just if I hear on talking, I will cry. So I'm Louise. You can find me on places, and those places are Twitter at No More No Less. That's more spelled MOORE. Here on Twitch is Accidental Legend. On the Wonder Quest podcast, and which is it's a great time. You should check it out. And also on Arv and Eleron's channel for S for Genesis. That's where I'll be. If you're ever missing me, I'll be there. I want to stop talking. I will start crying.
Oh, thank you, Louise. This is so school.
It's been an amazing campaign. To Louise, I mean, we've been the Tuesday afternoon crew for
we made it.
Whatever 20 months now. I mean, I think you were. I mean, for so long we've played together in so many different ways and characters and all that type of stuff. So I can't wait to have my my Imperator best bitch back.
Oh man, it's coming.
If we have for politics or for swinging swords, I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. And Josh, amazing world that you've built. Thank you for putting up with me and the crazy, weird ways that I have twisted the rules to do non-standard things, and that you put up with me. Thank you. And I will say this campaign has made me grow as a role player more than anything I've been involved with. I've explored being an evil character in disguise. I've killed another player's character, which is awful. I think it affected me more out of game than it affected me in game. And so Lorelania, thank you for being the most and best understanding person after that all went down. You were amazing when I was feeling like a total, complete pile of crap, for talking me through it of that. And so me and Louise brewed up, knowing she had the ashes and that I had a piece of armor called Armor of the Phoenix. There was no way I was going to let this campaign end without us getting to see Zune. So Thank you, everybody, for watching for all this time. Thank you for the incredible donations. Thank you. Things that just changed and made our campaign in so many crazy ways, from purple worms to meteors striking to I can't even
Gregor lying.
Gregor lying. Everything has just been amazing. Chat, you are 100% a part of this story.
Yeah.
And if you want to find me, you can find me at Tall Squall on Twitter. There's links to all my other stuff there. And we'll see you in our next story.
Thank you, Tall Squall. See ya.
Louise, we didn't know each other, and it is my first time role-playing. It was my first time role-playing with you, and we just kind of were like, hey, let's be sisters, fuck it, let's just be related. We don't know each other at all. You're making a warrior, I'm making a wizard. We're both just, and there are so many moments in this campaign where, like, you really are my sister inside and out of the game, and I love you so much. And just creating that family dynamic is something that, like, I didn't expect to overwhelm me as much as it did, and I'm glad that we did it, because you better fucking come back, I swear to God. Swear to Loth. Tall Squall, you have been an absolute inspiration for me as a role player. I've always kind of been the person who pats her own back when it comes to role play, but it is a moment in time that will never ever leave me. Just the Agatha scene, and you just being the beacon of hope, the proper paladin, and just seeing you go through the emotional turmoil after you killed my character, just out of game as well. Like, I could feel how bad you felt, and I was like, no, don't, it's okay. I had a few chances on the Long March to run production for the stream. I went great. Nobody knows how hard Will fucking works as a producer.
Truly the hardest.
And it is.
Person.
I put a lot of effort into production. I look at people that do production. It's a really big thing for me. Anybody who watches my stream knows that I am absolutely retentive about certain things. But the amount of stuff that you balance as a player, as a GM on other shows, with how you handle social media is just. It's really inspirational. You make me want to be a better producer. You make me want to be a better streamer. And your role-playing is just outstanding. You are such a cunt. Gregor is such a cunt. And Josh,
Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
You're the best DM I've ever known. Out of every DM I've ever played with, I've ever watched, I am constantly inspired to try new things as a character, to push myself emotionally, to think outside the box. And I am so happy that over the course of time we were able to find a relationship together and create something outside of the Long March. And everybody here is just such a big family now. It's crazy. So you can find me at Laurelania, Mighty Zimmer on Twitter, and I do lots of D&D stuff outside of here, but I am so ready for Season 3, baby! Let's go!
Before you do your final bit, I just want to say thank you to Tremoir for making...
The horses morning!
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, it was so perfect to have us all together. Like, that was just so coming. Oh, it's so round.
And just for everyone who got involved, thank you so much to Crimson Phoenix for just giving me that to work with. It works so wonderfully well, and I get messages. I want to say real quick, and then I'll let Will do his thing, but I have so many messages of people. I'm chatting to a couple of people right now who are literally private messaging me, and they were like, did I cock anything up? Never. Like, you guys getting involved makes this place like a living, breathing world, and I thank you so much for helping me play, because it's like we are playing with the whole community, and your involvement, however you get involved, even if you just turn up and spam Go5Go or Zoom Lives, or you just
No
make
five, no.
obscene nipple
The Gavin
comments.
chat.
Gavin!
Gavin,
Gavin!
Gavin,
Gavin! Gavin!
Oh my
Gavin!
God.
It's amazing to have you guys aboard. So thank you so much to everyone in chat for making this for making this the show that was so emotional. We overran by currently 51 minutes.
God.
Apologies. I will shut up.
We'll cut this all in post. No one will see it. It's fine.
Yeah.
All in post. It's just been a journey. It surely has, using the J word. It has been a journey for the Long March. From myself as a role player enjoying this game, and also from myself from like the production side of things and running Encounter Roleplay from the first season we did of the Long March, going back and looking at those videos on YouTube, which I do strongly recommend. It is crazy to see just how the show has come on leaps and bounds since we did our first season and from the second season. And then into our third season, we have our production budget is 4 times what it was for any previous season on the show. So it's going to be crazy. Next season is going to be insane. There's so many cool things happening on the channel. Some of them I can't yet talk about, but I will be able to soon. Yeah. But it's going to be crazy. So thank you guys for that. And I thank the Long March and the whole team of the Long March for that, and everyone involved in the Long March as well. You know, it's not just the live stream. Sid helps me immensely with all of the social media stuff. Yes. So huge shout out to him putting up with me when I'm streaming at 2 a.m. Now I'm running really late to dinner.
Love you, Sid.
And also to Kiana and Taylor, who are running social media stuff and keep that going. The whole website team, production crew, there are tons of artists that create all of the artwork and overlays and everything for the show. So, you know, it really isn't just me when it comes to production stuff. There's a whole team. There's about 60 of us at Encounter Roleplay: cast, crew, production, audio engineers, video engineers, and that crew's actually expanding a lot for the next season as well. So I thank you guys. You know, it's just fucking amazing, and I'm really excited to see where, you know, playing the game Dungeons and Dragons will take us, and into our next season of the Long March. We're gonna miss Louise immensely, but we do have Jessica joining us.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. It's gonna be a lot of fun. If she's watching this right now, sorry we're being really intense since you don't know us so well, but you will come to know us. You'll come to know us.
It's like backing away from the stream, like,
really
whoa.
chill. We're really chill people, honestly. But she's in chat.
Cup of Joe.
But so much to say, so many people to thank. Josh has been just an incredible dungeon master for all of us. Could not be prouder of the show that Josh put on here for you guys. It's an incredible task being a dungeon master on a show like this, with the huge amount of support that you guys throw at us. It actually is quite a difficult task to manage. You know, today, like, almost $1,000 worth of donations coming in for different things to affect the game, and to still make a coherent story throughout all of that through 21 months it have been. That's immense. So huge props to Josh for that, and like I said, it has been an amazing living, breathing world, and I can't wait to see where we go over next. God, Louise, it's gonna be the worst. No, it's not. I'll still live. But it's not gonna be the same.
Wow, dude.
Well, hey, you knew what you were getting involved with when you.
I'll continue onwards.
You'll never be replaced, Louise, but it will not. It will definitely not be the same place here without you. But as I say to everyone who goes on to do great and amazing things, who have been cast members at any point on Encounter Roleplay, there's always a home for you here. You know, this will always be a family. So come home to us.
I'm back in 16 weeks.
We'll be
counting the days. I'm counting them.
We'll be there waiting. We can't wait. Tour Score, dudes, just incredible. You know, it has been a true joy and pleasure. Same with Josh, from having introduced both you and Josh to streaming and D&D and the past few years. It's just been an absolute joy to see both of you go, you know, just leaps and bounds beyond what I thought either of you were going to be as role players. So, I mean, Congratulations, you guys. You're both fucking awesome. And
Yeah. Like I was saying, Will, I forgot to mention you, but truly every D&D memory I have, I owe to you for giving me that chance. Like I said, 20 months ago, back on the hanging tree, with Gavin as level 3, and that you kept me around, invited me for Samurai Sigil, and then all the other stuff we have done.
Shin and oh god.
Zoon and Gavin share a rebirth day.
I know.
oh,
That's
that's kind of
That's
sweet,
right.
isn't it? But yeah, you guys are just incredible, and it's an inspiration to continue to get to play with you guys every week. And Tia, amazing. I both loved and hate Zoon. She is the best, and just one of those. I think it's one of those characters that you will always remember. And I think Zoon Vandry is definitely one of those characters I don't think I can ever forget. And so your characterization of her is really inspiring. And the way it's funny actually. I remember. I think before we'd even ever played together, T and I had spoken about doing a panel at GexCon on how to run evil campaigns. Turned out that never happened for me because I got stopped by US Customs. But we've been talking about how to run evil campaigns with evil characters, and we didn't need to do that convention because you have the single best representation of how to do that by watching The Long March and by watching Tia play Zoon Vandry. So it has been a masterclass in evil, and I absolutely respect and appreciate that. It's been just fucking awesome. And same goes for you in terms of inspirations as a streamer. Just you're like me, but better, and it makes me want to be better. And
I feel like you are. I don't hold a candle to your skills in streaming, so that's just the highest compliments, and especially for the evil character stuff, because it's something that I've always wanted to show people how to do. It's not. You can be good and bad at the same time.
Exactly. Well, guys, lots of love all around. Another just fine round of applause for you guys in the audience, and Louise.
Oh, why you do this?
Oh no!
Why you do this? You waited this whole episode to do that. You waited till the end. Oh my god!
I don't regret it.
God damn it, Louise. All right, guys. Now I'm just angry.
Always Louise breaking our heart. I mean, it started on the hive.
Still got it.
Still got it, you fucking bitch.
Well, guys, we'll see you next week for The Long March Kingmaker. I'll play us out with the trailer and the final farewell from the undying heroes here of The Long March. Good night, everybody. Farewell.
Night.
Adios, bitchashies.
Fuck you, Louise.